Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Open. It is Thursday, March 27th. We are live. We have a lot of things to discuss in the broader global capital equity markets, including the announcements yesterday after 4 p.m. when the market already had kind of taken a little bit of a doo-doo. And then after we saw some red, we had Trump come out and officially explain why we were red with a new 25% automotive tariff. It looks like this tariff is serious. I mean, I don't think the market would be interpreting it as not serious based on the reaction and based on the context that I understood of this tariff. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be officially a big thing. So we will be talking about that. The 10-year right now is spiking 4.365%. This is the highest in about 2 months. So if that one spikes up back to 4.4, 4.5, that's going to create some issue for equities. And it's probably spiking because of that tariff news that we got yesterday. So we'll be going deeper into that and what that means for the broader markets. We'll talk about Robinhood, which had a very awesome gold event that I was part of. I know a lot of you guys watched it, and you guys probably saw some of my posts on Twitter last night. I'm not going to go that deep into all my thoughts about the products and stuff because I'd be here forever kind of just talking about every little nuance and detail, but it was dope, dude. It was one of those events where they announced some really cool stuff and it was just like, all right, they're going for it. They are officially going for it. And so we'll talk about it. Robinhood Weekly next week. We will go really deep on it. Probably even tomorrow morning. When I get back home, we'll go even deeper on all my thoughts on it. But I'll give you guys my experience at the event and just my general opinion of it. But it was one of those events where it's like these guys are obviously trying to go for the entire pie. We got a bunch of upgrades this morning from different firms. Bernstein reiterated their $105 price target on Robinhood. I am getting more and more conviction that Robinhood has a real shot to see $100 over the next year or two. Who knows? Maybe even by the end of this year. It really depends a lot on the macro as well, but they're going for it. They are really going for it. And tomorrow we're going to get March metrics by Robinhood, which is going to be really important. And the fact that they're even willing to put out their March metrics, which means we're basically going to know exactly what they had on. I mean, not literally exactly, but how their earnings went. To me means that they probably are pretty confident in their March metrics in conjunction with their February and January metrics. And so Q1 earnings hopefully should not be too bad and ultimately should get the company continuing to progress in the right direction. All right, cool. Let's get into it. Thank everybody for being here. It is, again, 5:45 California time. I have a flight at 1:55, so we'll be able to do the market open, but I'll be at no market close today. I'll be back home. And we'll do the market open, market close tomorrow, Friday, as usual. I think I'll get back home like 12 a.m. tonight or like 11 p.m. tonight, Eastern time. But yeah, let's get into it and let's see what we got. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Deneen, Matt Money, Gene, what's up? Zokol, Tom, Chris, Kiran, Walter, Benny, Jimmy. Yes, I wore this shirt all night. Yes, I slept in it. It is what it is. I'm just like... I got out of bed like 20 minutes ago. It's early in California. So yeah, I've been wearing this shirt for like the whole day. Josh, what's up? Spicy Noodles, P. Nick, Trav, Hector, Colin, Katie, Tim. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Jasmine, what's up? Thank you, everybody, for being here once again. All right, so let's get into it. I want to ask you guys the question first before I give my thoughts. 10 says, yo, I listen to you every morning for the last couple of years. I need a shout out. 10, what's up? Thank you for being here. 10 lives. Appreciate you, bro. And I'm happy that in one of your 10 lives, I'm relevant enough for you to listen every single morning. So thank you for being here, bro. And appreciate you. Okay, what was your guys' reaction to that event? Because I was there in real time. I posted a bunch of videos on Twitter. If you guys saw those videos, I posted a bunch of pictures. So let me just explain how the event went. So you get there, and first of all, I was at the San Francisco Mint. I didn't even know there was such a thing called the San Francisco Mint. This is like the Federal Reserve of San Francisco, and Robinhood like completely took this over. The Lost City of Gold, right? Like that, all their branding and everything was in this event. They had people like they had these flamethrowers, these fire performers like in real time. Here's a picture of one of them, like shooting fire into the air. It was just like just crazy stuff, right? And again, this is a brokerage app doing some of this crazy stuff. And then you walk in, you check in, and then there's like this big lobby. And in this lobby, there's like all these different rooms. And in one room, you can get your name engraved on a custom gold plate. In another room, there's open drinks. In another room, there's food. In another room, you can like talk to people. And then you can go outside from another room, and that's like where the actual event was happening. The event, I didn't realize was going to be outside, but it actually was outside. And the event was just this like massive, as you can see right here, this massive like stage. There's Tanner, there's Roy, there's a bunch of people there. And it was just this really cool thing. The weather was good outside. Everyone had drinks. Like it was just this dope area outside. So 10 minutes before the event started, everyone went outside to like just see everything. And you could just chill and talk to a bunch of employees and different people. One of the shout out to Suze. She's the social media person at Robinhood. She came up to Roy, Tanner, and I and brought us Saratoga water bottles, which was hilarious. I mean, they understand culture so well. It was just absolutely incredible. And then you get into the event, and then Vlad gets on stage, and they get into their 3 products. And their 3 products were pretty damn incredible. It was an advisory product, it was an AI product, and then it was a banking product. And again, I'll go deeper into my thoughts over the coming days on how I feel about all those products. But one after another, all of those products started like really meaningfully getting people more excited. Like they just kept going down the list of different things, started showing the demo, and like you're looking at it and you're like, holy crap. And I don't know if you guys heard off the live stream, but Abhishek, who's the VP of product engineering, at one point he was like, I hear some holies in the front row. That was me, bro. I couldn't stop it. I was like, holy, this is big stuff that they are doing right now. And my overall takeaway, I'm seeing what you guys are saying in the chat, which is just like, GG, it's over. Like Robinhood is doing their thing. My reaction was the same thing. I was like, oh, like conviction has grown even deeper. The stock is the stock. Like I know the stock was up last night. It's down right now. Like honestly, Trump controls the Robinhood stock price more than Vlad does at this moment. And that's true for every stock in the market. But it's like, I think there is no other company with the culture and innovative DNA to do what Robinhood's doing. This is their second gold event. I was at the first one last time in New York. They stepped it up 1,000x in terms of production. I got to speak to a lot of employees last night, like a lot of them. And I got to ask the employees. I got to speak to the chief brokerage officer, Steve Quirk. This is my guy. Like this dude is awesome. He spent 20 years at Morgan Stanley, E-Trade, and he came over to Robinhood a couple years ago, and he was like, we're going to completely, turn Robinhood into a monster. So I got to speak to a bunch of the C-suites and a bunch of the employees. And my number one question for them was just like, why Robinhood? What's different about the culture here? And all of them were just like, A, we love Vlad. We're inspired by the mission. B, one engineer told me there's no deadlines. Everyone just works their ass off. And there's only 2,200 employees, so you kind of need everyone to work their ass off. If everyone's not working their ass off, you're not going to be shipping these products. And so a lot of these products that we saw today, they've been working on for more than 2 years, but just finally they got to the point where they feel comfortable to put it out there. And I think from a tech and engineering perspective, not a lot of banks or other financial technology companies have that level of commitment, DNA, and energy to ship product. And as a result, I think that means Robinhood's going to win. I just really think that means Robinhood's going to win. Is it a cyclical business? Yes. If the market tanks, is Robinhood going to tank? Yes. But the level of diversification they are committing to in terms of different product verticals to attack, it's different, dude. It's different. This is one of those products, and I think that's why it's going to continue to prove that they are really going for it. Again, the stock price, you can't judge it from the stock price because right now we were in a very volatile market. I mean, Bitcoin's down, the market's down. Like Robinhood should be up like 20% today, quite frankly. I mean, like if you price in the growth that they're going to get into the future, this stock should be much higher than where it is right now. It should at least be closer to where it was back on the Q1 or the Q4 earnings. But again, I understand why it's not up 20%. It's because you never know what Trump's going to say. Your trading volumes might go down, this and that, like interest rates are still high. So there's so many different macro reasons why Robinhood is getting hit, which to me feels like, all right, how much can I accumulate if I believe in this long-term vision? And I think for those that haven't watched the keynote, you should really watch the keynote, watch it like twice if you need to, and ask yourself, in 10 years, do you think Robinhood is going to ship more products and become an even, they have 2 more events later this year of more products that are coming. I mean, this is just, it's becoming an ETF for financial services with all these different product verticals. And so to me, again, we'll go into deeper product thoughts tomorrow and then on Robinhood Weekly, but the banking stuff, like they're coming after all the legacy banks. The AI stuff, they are really incorporating AI to the product in a way that's actually making it useful. And then the advisory stuff, they're turning into one of the better products that can really help you manage your money without actually having to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on it. So, look, it's bullish. It's really, really, really bullish. And I think my conviction just continued to get better and better based on what I saw last night. A lot of you guys are saying rip SoFi. Look, I mean, it's not rip SoFi. SoFi is not going anywhere. SoFi is a phenomenal company. They're going to be fine. I just think, yeah, there is some analysis to be made that Robinhood's going after a chunk of their market, which is banking. So Robinhood introduced private banking. Now, you might be saying, doesn't Robinhood need a bank charter? No, because you need a bank charter to give out loans. Robinhood's not giving out personal loans. Robinhood is just creating a checking, savings, and all the other stuff that comes with the bank. DDI, who's a very big, prominent SoFi advocate, this is what he said yesterday. Dear SoFi, get your butts in gear because Hood is coming for your banking clients with benefits and features that surpass the SoFi experience. The time to start launching products and features was yesterday. This is coming in the fall. Time to put up or shut up. And so, I mean, this is not even me saying it, right? People could say I'm biased against SoFi, whatever, even though I own SoFi. I wouldn't say I'm biased. I would think I'm pretty objective in comparing both them and Robinhood. This is one of the biggest SoFi advocates on the planet saying, hey, if we can't if we can't figure this out, then we've got some issues, right? Like, and I think a lot of people are just not impressed by SoFi's execution compared to Robinhood's multiple events. And they're just looking at their, I mean, literally Tanner, dude, as soon as the event ended, the first thing he said to me, and he said this publicly, he said, I'm thinking of trimming some SoFi. And I'm like, and I can't blame him, dude. How do you blame someone? Like, when you see the level of execution here versus what's going on at SoFi, it's really hard to not think maybe I'm underweight Robinhood. Chris Patel, who, you know, we've been talking about Robinhood publicly for a very long time, good friend of the channel. Yesterday was finally the day where he said, I'm going long on Hood. After finishing taxes next month, I'll move all my banking and credit deposit accounts to Robinhood. It's been real TD Bank. I've been with them since high school, and now I'm moving to Robinhood. The banking thing was the one thing Chris needed to really be excited to move to Hood. And, you know, now he's moving there as well. So, yeah, dude, I think it was an incredible event. Again, I'll be talking about it more over the next couple of days. I'm sure you guys felt it was pretty awesome. After the event, we had it was supposed to be 20 minutes, but it turned into like 45-minute meet and greet with Vlad. It was me, Tanner, Roy, and about 8 other people that got to spend some time with him, ask him questions. And that's when we took some pictures. Ironically, dude, I don't know what it is about the bricks, but they follow me wherever I go. And so we got Vlad and the bricks right there in the background. And yes, he's very tall, or I'm very short, one or the other. You can interpret it however you want. But yeah, dude, it was awesome. It was awesome seeing him again. We got to talk for a little bit, and he got to really explain the long-term vision on what Hood's doing. And it was a really intimate setting. It was me, Tanner, Roy, like 8 to 9 other people, and Vlad, and we were just all in a room, and we got to ask him a bunch of questions and, you know, get a deeper understanding of his vision for Hood. And I got to ask him about the event contracts and what does he feel that everyone's saying it's like gambling and stuff. And he was just like, he gave the same answers that I'm giving, which is like, you don't have to engage in it. And B, he actually believes that prediction markets are a way to find truth in the context of capitalism. So he's not even thinking of it in the context of betting. He's thinking of it in the context of, hey, the way we knew Trump was winning was based on prediction markets, not based on the polls. And so to him, there's like a deeper macro understanding of what event contracts are like versus like gambling. And so I got to get his opinions on that. We got to get his opinions on the private banking product. Where does he think it's going? And so overall, from that meet and greet, I got an understanding of, oh, Vlad is like serious about coming after every legacy player. At first, it was Schwab and Fidelity. Now it's like Bank of America and JP Morgan. And I think the reason people are concerned about SoFi is because they thought SoFi was coming after Bank of America, JP Morgan, et cetera, which I think they are. And I think they will take some market share for them. But you've got to keep innovating to really see that wealth transfer, to see that share of market leaving from one incumbent to a new entrant. to be a true disruptor. And I think a lot of people aren't seeing that from SoFi right now, but a lot of people are seeing that from Robinhood based on, and look, maybe these products aren't successful, right? They announced these products. They haven't unveiled these products into people's, phones yet. So like they need to actually show that there is a real adoption and it's working. But based on just the raw reaction that people had yesterday, I mean, I was talking to a lot of people and they were just like, dude, this is like the reaction after the keynote ended. Everyone got up and was like, what the hell did we just see? Like what the heck? Like what? There was a product they're introducing called cash deliveries, where a lot of the theme of the event was trying to close the gap between high net worth individuals and everyone else. And apparently, I didn't even know this. High net worth individuals can call someone to go get them cash from their bank and bring it to them and deliver it to them. Yeah, Robinhood unveiled that as a product. It's like an Uber app where you can ask someone to go get you $200 from your local bank, so you don't have to go sit in a line at an ATM. And I was like, what? Like that's a thing. And like he told us in the meet and greet that they're working on a lot of partnerships to make that possible. Because I know a lot of the questions are like, how are they going to do this? Like, where are they going to get the drivers from? All this stuff. So they have a lot of partnerships coming out over the next coming days where they're going to show off how they're doing it. But like that's one example where it can feel, I know some people are like, oh, it's kind of gimmicky. I'm like, sure, it's kind of gimmicky, but the whole point is they're trying to show that their actual private banking product will also involve all these minute features that the wealthy have access to, that they are trying to give access to everybody, a true democratization of finance. And so I just think they're going for it. I really, really think they're just going for it. And that's why it's very exciting. Cash delivery is very real. I know it seemed fake. It is very real. It is a real thing. It might not be available literally everywhere immediately, but I would imagine all the big cities and all this stuff based on the partnerships they're coming out with from a logistics perspective, because there are companies dedicated to just the logistics of this. They're going to be partnering with Robinhood, and we're going to be seeing a lot more of this. I don't think Robinhood's giving out personal loans right now. They give out margin loans. Personal loans, again, need a banking charter to be able to do because they're unsecured. I don't think Robinhood wants to go into personal loans yet. And I don't know what it means in the future of how they get into it. I don't know if they're going to get a banking charter. I don't know if they need a banking charter to do a lot of this stuff. I mean, they introduced a lot of shit yesterday where it kind of doesn't feel like you need a banking charter for any of this stuff, which obviously you don't based on what they announced. But it was just really cool stuff, dude. Like really, really cool stuff. I mean, take a look at this right here. This is a short clip of Cortex, which is their AI product. And just look at how they're introducing artificial intelligence to help people find better trades.
On Nvidia. So there's two things I love about this. The first step is selecting a price and time target. So if I need some ideas, I can tap into Cortex and I can learn different types of analysis. Here there's some technical analysis, there's some fundamental analysis, and there's also some analyst outlook. It's a great way to learn new ways to analyze stocks.
All this is real time and all of this is powered by AI. So it's not a chat bot. It's like your own personal analyst giving you updates on how to view a certain stock at a certain moment of time.
The second is converting my thesis into strategies. So let's go back to the price chart and turn a price and time target and turn a budget for this trade. Let's say 20,000. Vlad, don't take this out of my salary.
Big trade option.
You know, big account. So, all right, let's hit find trades. And Trade Builder will screen the market for potential strategies. It's really magical.
Holy!
I've got some spreads. I've got some long calls, or even the ability to buy some shares. I heard some holies in the crowd, so it sounds like you're excited.
Dude, this was really cool. I'm a big call debit spread guy, right? And I got to see the product with Akshay. He came up to me after the event and really showed it to me. And it's like, you go to any stock, you go to your price target, you make a little square, and then the AI starts coming up with the best call debit spreads, the best long calls, the best short puts, the best covered calls that you could sell or buy on that stock. And I'm like, hold on. Options is the majority of their trading volumes business outside of crypto. They have the highest take rate on that. Now they're helping people trade the best options based on artificial intelligence coming up with like, hey, based on the risk reward, obviously nothing is guaranteed in this trade, but here's what a trade that we think could be a good trade to engage in. I mean, it's just cool stuff, dude. It's just really, really cool stuff. Yes, I know this is not new. Other apps do this as well. My point is just bringing this to Robinhood's user base, bringing this to Robinhood's cohort of people that actually engage in trading options. When I'm thinking of market share, when I'm thinking of wallet share, and when I'm thinking of overall trading volumes to protect against some of the cyclicality of the business, I think everything they're doing is a step in that right direction. And so, again, I just think growth is what really matters in the context of Robinhood, and growth rates are what matter. The reason, people don't buy Schwab is because they don't grow anymore. The reason people are paying a multiple on Hood is because they're growing. And the question is, for the next, decade, can Robinhood keep up 20% growth for the next decade? Can they actually do that? And the more and more I think of it, I'm like, I don't think Vlad's going to stop. I think every year they're going to have at least 4 to 5 new products that are going to introduce them either into new verticals or deepen the verticals they're in. And they're just going to take a lot of market share from the incumbents, and the street's going to pay a multiple on that if they're able to grow. Along with the fact that they have a massive cash pile. So when things get bad, like they are right now, going from 60 to 40, they're probably going to be buying back their stock as well and rewarding shareholders from that perspective by getting rid of shares and stopping, or at least washing out the dilution that they have every year, which is like less than 2%. So yeah, dude, my takeaway was, I think this was an incredible event. I'll have a lot more to say on it over the coming days. I know a lot of people were impressed. I got a lot of messages last night of people just saying, dude, I'm switching over to Robinhood. Like, this is it. They did it for me. And yeah, I think it's happening. I really do think it is happening right now. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on the event. David said, I had a call with E-Trade, told them I was moving to Robinhood, and they didn't even fight for my business. I could imagine. I think E-Trade, Schwab, Fidelity are going to get a lot of calls. Maybe even Bank of America, JP Morgan are going to get some calls. Obviously, those companies are massive companies, right? Trillions of dollars. And Robinhood has to get a very small percentage of their assets for Robinhood to be a big company, but they don't have to lose that much. So to them, this may seem like insignificant, but over the long term, it's going to be a question of how this plays out. And I think right now, the culture, the DNA, all that stuff is going to be pretty exciting. Last thing I'll say on this, and then we'll move on to tariffs and Trump, is again, I talked to a lot of the employees, and one of the things they told me is that they're really appreciative of retail. A lot of the employees were there since 2018, 2021. They were there when the stock went to $6. And quite frankly, the content that retail was putting out was one of the things that kept the employees from leaving the company. I mean, as much as they believed in it, at the end of the day, right? If the majority of your compensation in these tech companies is stock, and the stock is down 80%, you have to make decisions based on your own personal financial situation. And they said, hey, we watched you, we watched Arnie, like we watched people when things were really rough to kind of even gain our own conviction in the company. And to me, that's just really cool, because like me and Arnie and anyone in the Robinhood community doesn't have anything to analyze unless these employees are working their butts off. And they're working their butts off because they also see some people out there who believe in the broader mission. So it's been one of those stories, bro. Was really blessed to kind of have a journey with Palantir. I did not know Robinhood would turn into a similar journey. Very, very blessed to have a journey with Robinhood and to be part of a company from start to finish, even though they're not finished yet. And I don't think they're gonna be finished for a long time, but from kind of start to finish, more so on the concept of no one believes in them and then everyone believes in them. And I think that happened with Palantir at $7. Now we see what's happened. I think that happened with Robinhood at $7. And now we see what happened. And a lot of the employees in Palantir and Robinhood have the same DNA, which is that they just execute, and they just are really appreciative that people were out there trying to bring some more media coverage in a world or at a time where just both companies were writ off for dead, and that they weren't going to make it. And then speaking of, going on journeys with companies, I saw this last night and I was just like, what is going on? So April 8th, baby, book your calendars. Grab is going to have their first ever product event on April 8th. Grab.com/grab. I saw this last night when I got back home from the event, and I was like, I think something's happening with Grab. They have never done a product event before. They've never showed off new innovative stuff. We saw the rumor yesterday that they're getting a $2 billion loan potentially to be able to buy one of their biggest competitors. Now they're having a product event, and which, what happens when you have one product event. Every year you have a product event, it becomes something inside of your DNA as a company where you have to ship new products. So if Grab ends up becoming one of these companies that's like really changing their narrative as well, because Palantir needed a narrative change, Robinhood needed a narrative change, now Grab needs a narrative change. And it would be so cool this year if they make steps to change that narrative as well. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on Hoodie. Those are my thoughts on the event. And we will continue to see how this broader story ends up playing out. I mean, would you use Robinhood banking? Yeah, most of my money's in Hood anyway. Like I barely have any money in Bank of America. So yeah, I would direct deposit, all that stuff. Like I would set it up with Hood tomorrow if I got access. I think it goes live in October in the fall. So once it goes there, we're gonna see how the product looks like. But really cool, really, really cool. All right, cool. Moving on from Hood. We'll talk more about it tomorrow. Talk more about it on Robinhood Weekly, but it was awesome. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the event. And yeah, I think it's going to be an incredible journey covering the company over the coming decade. All right, moving on. So let me answer this question real quick, and then we'll move on to the Trump tariffs. Did you take the Waymo ride yet? The answer is no, and I probably will not be taking it in San Francisco, and here is why. The car was too ugly for me to get into. Like, at some point, I was just like, I can't be seen in this ugly car. No, I'm just kidding. That was not the reason. All right, so I went to the Uber headquarters yesterday, ironically. We got invited to go see by one of the employees there who's a big Robinhood investor as well. So they invited me, Roy, and Tanner to come take a look at the office, the headquarters. And we were like, all right, we'll Waymo there. It's 1.5 miles away. We'll Waymo there. I go to the Waymo app. I go to order a Waymo. How much do you think a 1.5 mile ride should cost? Because I think it's no more than $10. Like, and that's kind of pushing it. $10. This thing was $23. And I looked at Tanner and Roy and I'm like, dude, we're not paying $23 for this. Like, I'm not paying $23. Like as much as I want to try Waymo, I'm not spending $23 for this. This is stupid. And then we looked at Uber and it was $9. And so we took an Uber. And I know people might be saying, oh, dude, just pay the extra $13 and like do the Waymo. It's not even about that. It's about the idea of this is what the real world is like. This is going to be the same thing for Robotaxi, Waymo, Uber, Lyft, etc. The cheapest option is going to win because this service is not that special between each of the cars. Now, maybe the Waymo could have had better privacy and it would have felt better, etc. And if I really felt like paying a premium for that, I could. But I'm not paying a 50% premium for a ride that's going to be 10 minutes max just for the experience of it. So I didn't do it. I was like, no, we're not going to do it. And it was kind of one of those things where it was like, okay, so this is what the real world is going to look like. Like that's why I didn't want to take it. But I was like, if it's not competitive in terms of cost, and they said you have to walk 5 minutes to some destination to even take the Waymo, I was like, this experience sucks. I don't like this experience. It sucks. It's not a fun experience. So we just ended up not doing it. So yeah, I don't know. I really don't care, dude. I mean, look, it would have been cool to do it, but I think part of the experience is like, hey, is this like efficient to pay for? Like at what point, like if it was $30, would you guys have paid $30, $35, $40, you know? So I was just like, no, this is stupid. Like if they want my business, you got to actually have the right cost to do it. I'm not just going to pay it to get into the car. So yeah, we didn't end up taking it. And we went Uber instead. Elaine said, so wait, they are not profitable, but charge double. I just couldn't believe it, dude. And we did it multiple times. We were like, hey, why is this thing like still $23? And there's so many of them. Like, is everyone in San Francisco rich where they can afford to pay double the price of an Uber? So we just didn't end up taking it. And we took an Uber to Uber instead. So yeah, that was the experience when it comes to wait, but I don't care. You guys can say L, I don't care. Like at the end of the day, this is exactly what the experience is built on. This is a real world experience. Like no one's spending $25 on something that should cost no more than $8 or $9. And so yeah, we just didn't take it. I mean, maybe I'll take it today before I get to the airport to go to like some small location and just see what it feels like for 5 minutes. But then it's a question of just like, how much does it cost? And again, it's not about the actual money, right? The money is not the concern here. The concern was like, what is the point of engaging in this? It's like, if it's not part of the actual experience in the real world where you would, because like in the real world, if I wasn't doing it for YouTube or whatever, I would not pay that. I would just take an Uber. You know, I don't like, the experience is not what people care about when it comes to this. What they care about is their wallet. Doug says that's why Tesla's going to win. They're going to be the cheapest and it can come pick you up where you're not walking at a special place that has all the mapping and LiDAR data. Well, that's another thing, dude. Like that was also really annoying. It was just like you have to go walk 5 minutes. By the way, we've been walking the entire trip. Like this was the one place that was a mile and a half away. So we said, and it was before the Robinhood event. So we were like, all right, let's just like Uber there and get there quicker. But we've been walking across the entire city for a while. And then Waymo was like, hey, you got to walk to this remote location just to get picked up. And I was like, why? You know, it wasn't a good experience. Like, it just really wasn't. Like, I was like, we don't want to walk to some random place. We're not from the city, so we don't really know how to navigate exactly where to walk to. And then they want to pay $25 to go 1.5 miles. I was like, no, screw this. Like, the Uber picked us up exactly where we were. So I think either the geofencing or the LiDAR or whatever, or the pricing, like there's something the company has to work on. That's my honest review. Like if I paid $25, it would not have been an honest review. It would have just been like paying it to pay it. By the way, GameStop right here down 10% after diluting shareholders by 1.3 billion yesterday. And so if the robo-taxi can meaningfully get costs down, it's going to be very simple who wins. Like whoever's going to win is going to be the company that gives you the cheapest rides. And if Tesla can get rid of the driver cost and make the ride cheaper, I think that's going to be important. Also, that was confusing to me. There's no driver to pay. So why is Waymo charging more than double what Uber's charging? Like, I was really confused. And again, it could have just been an anomaly. It could have just been a one-time experience or whatever. Maybe today I'll try to do a Waymo in a very quick 5-minute ride just to see what it feels like. But I was very shocked. I was like, so why is this so expensive? Like, this just doesn't make any sense. But that's kind of how it ended up playing out. Please explain why Hood has lost its overnight pump, because Trump talked about tariffs yesterday, which gets us into our next topic. So we've got the Trump tariffs. This thing last night was, well, it was whatever Trump wanted it to be. If he wanted more volatility into the markets, he introduced that volatility into the markets. And here's what he had to say about tariffs. 25% across the board on automotives. And yeah, I mean, this was definitely this is definitely not what the market wanted to hear, but it looks like it is going official on April 2nd.
And this is very modest. And what we're going to be doing is a 25% tariff on all cars that are not made in the United States. If they're made in the United States, there's absolutely no tariff. We start off with a 2.5% base, which is what we were at. And we go to 25%. And basically, as you know, and as you've been saying, not reporting as accurately as it should be reported because it's a massive story. Business is coming back to the United States so that they don't have to pay tariffs. And I think, and this is very much.
So I guess here's my question to all of you guys. Like, do you think these 25% tariffs are actually going to be that impactful? Trump said the auto 25% tariffs will be permanent for the rest of my term. Here's 10 seconds of this.
Under which you'd remove these auto tariffs, sir, or is this permanent for the rest of your term in office? Or is this permanent for the rest of your term in office?
Oh, this is permanent. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I don't believe him. I don't believe him. I don't believe him. I was actually surprised last night that the market reacted to it. It was so funny. We heard these people over talk, these construction workers. They were seeing the news in real time when we were in the car, and we heard them because the window was open, and they were like, "This freaking Trump guy's trying to screw everything." It was because they just got the update on their phone about the tariffs, and it was so funny because like he was acting really serious about these 25% tariffs, but in reality, like I don't think it's going to go through. I think maybe it goes through for a little bit. And I was surprised the market reacted to it because I was like, do you really believe him? And maybe the market has a different source than Trump that they're relying on this. Nvidia, by the way, down 1.72%. Nvidia got smacked yesterday after that China headline and the tariff headline. But the market basically said, yeah, we think that these 25% tariffs are going to happen. And then everything else kind of took a dump after hours as well. I don't believe it though. I really don't believe it. I don't think there's going to be this massive tariff ecosystem on all these different auto manufacturers. If you look at some of the numbers that we have right here, so these are the companies that import, export, and create their cars in the United States. So 100% imported Audi, Porsche, and Ferrari. BMWs and Mercedes have 25% of their sales in the U.S., 50% of U.S. sold cars assembled locally, but key parts imported. Stellantis has 50% of revenue from the U.S., 60% of U.S. vehicles assembled locally with high exposure to demand drop. Volkswagen has U.S. mid-teens percentage of sales, most parts sourced in North America, and Renault has no U.S. exposure. Now, Tesla has a majority of their cars made in the United States. So a lot of people are saying, well, Tesla's going to be excluded from this. They're not going to be having that much of an impact. Elon Musk clarified that last night. He said, yes, even though a lot of our cars are made in the United States, we will still have an impact from tariffs. And he said the word a significant impact from tariffs on us as well. And so as a result, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I think Elon's trying to make it seem like this is not a sweetheart deal for Tesla because Tesla has the majority of their manufacturing in the United States. He's trying to say, no, we're still affected. We're affected with everyone else. Obviously, Tesla is less affected, which is why I think they're up right now. And the pre-markets in GM and Ford are not up than some of the other manufacturers, Honda, Toyota, etc. But I mean, Tesla was still down 5% yesterday. So it's not like this news was necessarily the most bullish for them as well, because they will have other parts that they import that end up getting tariffed with this whole new 25% thing that's going on. I don't think it's going to play out, dude. I'm going to have a poll right now in the chat. I really don't think this 25% auto tariff is going to last forever. But if it is, then this is another reason why Robinhood can't be up 10% today, You got a 25% tariff against the entire auto market. Yeah, that'll create some volatility. Do you think the 25% tariffs on autos will be permanent? I don't know, dude. For some reason, I just don't believe it. I really don't. But there is a shot it could end up playing out. Yeah, it is on parts. It's on obviously all the manufacturing, but it also is on parts as well. And that's why I was looking at a bunch of articles this morning about different companies that have to import different parts from different locations. And those end up theoretically getting tariffed as well in this context. I just think it's going to be such a blanket statement of 25% across the entire market on tariffs. I don't believe it, dude. I just don't believe it. And maybe April 2nd, I'm wrong and it officially goes into effect. And then this is the revolution around American manufacturing with tariffs. But I don't know if this ends up playing out. This is a good graphic on the nature of these tariffs. Today, Trump introduced a 25% tariff on all vehicles not made in the United States. This tariff will go into effect on April 2nd. About 40% of all new cars sold in the U.S. are imported. So this tariff is a big deal. And these are all the stats as well. Sawyer Merritt right here says, if the 25% tariff remains in place for a long period, legacy automakers will struggle to adapt quickly, leading to a significant decline in profits. The United States is the most profitable country for the auto industry. Trump said this new tariff will be permanent. Again, you either believe him or you don't. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out and whether the tariff sticks around or not. Tesla, again, they make a decent chunk of cars in America, whereas a lot of these other guys import different parts and make their cars in other locations as well. 61% of you say no. I would have to agree. I don't think it's there yet. I really don't. I don't think it's there yet. Speaking of Tesla, I was on the phone with insurance yesterday and I officially confirmed my dad's Tesla. So I'll be picking that up tomorrow, actually, at freaking what time? At 5 p.m. So we'll be bringing a brand new Model Y, not the Juniper version, but the legacy Model Y, to the house. And so the delivery estimates we saw yesterday, even with this like last mile inventory push, is 360,000 vehicles, which is 7% down year over year from the 385,000 they had in Q1 last year. That means they would have to do 570,000 vehicles delivered every quarter for the next 3 quarters to get to anywhere near 10% growth year over year in the context of last year's numbers versus this year's numbers. I don't know if they're selling more than 500,000 cars every single quarter for the next 3 quarters. So I don't know, dude. I mean, it looks like the auto numbers are going to be kind of hit the whole year, but if they introduce more stuff with Robotaxi Optimus, which they said they're coming out in Austin, and that becomes a meaningful source of growth in the business. And even if it's not a meaningful source of revenue, if it's just growing like crazy, like the number of rides per week, and they're taking market share away from Waymo and Uber and all this stuff, then I think it can get very, very exciting to see how this ends up playing out. So that's what we got in the context of auto tariffs. Didn't Vlad have short hair a few weeks ago? At the meet and greet, that's the first question I asked him. I was like, why the long hair again? He was like, have you never seen me in long hair? I was like, no, but like, it's just, now we're back to the long hair. So he said, I don't know. I like it. So I like his hair. I like him like having all these different hairstyles. He like kind of just goes with the wind, and every month it's like a brand new hairstyle. It's either super short or it's long or it's like in this weird part that he has. But yeah, we're back to long hair Vlad, which is one of my favorite types of Vlad. I mean, this was the first Vlad that came out back in 2020 and changed the world. So anyway, in the context of tariffs, I don't know, dude. I saw the update yesterday and I was just like, this is getting ridiculous. 25% across the board. It felt like the Venezuela stuff where he says something to say something, but no one actually believes it. I still don't believe it, but the problem is it's having an impact on broader markets. Nvidia's down, Robinhood's down, Tesla's down. I mean, everything's now getting hit from the nature of these tariffs. And ultimately, we're going to have to see what this means and how the market tries to kind of price it in. Let's get a little bit more coverage right here from tariffs and what we can expect if this actually goes into effect.
Announcing a 25% tariff. Long term, that it will eventually be a positive. But near term, it seems very difficult, even on the big three, even though they should benefit.
Yeah, thank you, Joe and Becky, for having me. Long term, potentially, we have to see how that plays out, but that's going to be a lengthy and expensive process to get there to modify capacity. Near term, it's probably negative. You're going to see higher prices. You're going to see lower volumes. There's going to be a ripple effect throughout the supply chain.
If it was just, what would be good? What would the big three like? And that's who we care.
So we got this headline right here that CoreWeave is planning to cut the IPO size to 37.5 million shares in the price range below 40. That's weird to me because they had a ton of demand for their IPO. So it's weird they're reacting maybe to the dynamics of the macro to cut the pricing of the IPO. Maybe they want it to be a really successful IPO and they need the price per share to be really low when it opens. But yeah, you got the CoreWeave IPO deciding to take down a little bit of the valuation.
Care about, I think we don't care about BMW. I guess we want them to make cars here, but what about the auto parts side of things? Things go back and forth across the Canadian border that go into the big three's production of autos. And is everything going to be hit with 25%? Why won't that immediately raise the cost of the domestic production and for consumers?
Yeah, well, I think what we're waiting to see and the potential saving grace here is the carve out that U.S. content in vehicles is not subject to the tariff, right? So take an automaker like GM, for instance, that even though only half of its U.S. sales are assembled in the U.S., it still has another, over 30% roughly that are assembled in Canada and Mexico, mostly Mexico. To the extent that the content in those cars is significantly American made, that's the carve out and potentially the saving grace that softens the blow here.
Let's say that you're importing something from Canada that goes into a car. Is there a carve out for that? Let's say all the seats in a car are made in Canada. When one of the big three gets, buys the seat from up there, is it going to be 25% more expensive?
So I think we're waiting to see how the parts piece emerges. Right now, if parts are USMCA compliant, and our understanding is that most are, then that is not subject to the tariff currently. I think there's a process that's still underway. And in the future, so long as there is U.S. content, because you have to remember that there's always going to be different pieces of content in different components. As long as the content in those parts is U.S., that's the potential to limit the tariff expense. But yes, certainly based on the reading of what we saw last night, anything that is not U.S. content is going to be subject to the tariff. So.
And again, that just might mean they raise the cost on the consumer, right? That's the broader issue when it comes to these tariffs. You guys are saying in the chat, someone sent a $20 to take the Waymo yesterday. So first of all, I'm just remembering someone sent a $20 super chat to take the Waymo yesterday, but I don't even think that matters. What matters is how I felt as a user in the moment, right? As a real experience. So again, before I go to the airport, I will try to get into some quick Waymo to kind of like give you guys the experience. I'll take a video on it. I'll probably post it on X. But in that moment, I wasn't thinking of, oh, someone sent me a super chat for $20 to try the Waymo. Like I swear I did not think of that. No, I probably would have taken it if I thought of that in the moment. But I was thinking as a real person, I wanted a real experience. Like, would a real person pay $25 to drive 1 mile? And like no human would do. They would just go to Uber or Lyft and pay 50% of that, right? So again, I'll try to get the Waymo experience today, but that was the experience I had as a user yesterday, which is why I was like, yeah, this just doesn't make sense at this moment right now. All right, 9:30, Thursday, March 27th. The stock market is now open. All right, wake your ass up. Let's see how red we go today based on these tariffs. Palantir is down 1% here right now. You've got Nubank down about 0.5%. You got Coca-Cola and Kraft Heinz that are green, which is why Berkshire Hathaway is up 18% for the year. I still can't believe that's a thing, but that is a thing. Nvidia, of course, she goes. I bought 10 shares at 115 yesterday. I've got 140 shares to officially complete the 1,000-share Nvidia position. I mean, at this point, I don't know. Are they going to take this back to 104 like they did 2 weeks ago? Is it bottoming it at 111? I guess we'll see today what the price action looks like, but absolutely disgusting on Nvidia based on the China headlines yesterday. S&P 500 down about 0.23%. Bitcoin's down about 2%. GameStop is diluting shareholders by 1.3 billion. It looks like they're going to be buying a ton of Bitcoin and becoming a pseudo MicroStrategy. I don't know why anyone would buy Bitcoin over MicroStrategy if you're buying them for the Bitcoin reserve thesis, but it looks like that's what's going to happen. Robinhood right here down about 0.64%. Again, I don't think it's based on the event. I really think it's more so based on the macro right now. You got a little bit of a green candle right there from 43 to 44.57. But the cheaper Robinhood gets based on these new products, to me, just becomes a much more attractive stock to buy. Celsius right here at 34.20. That's down 2%. Nvidia's down about 1%. Google slightly green. S&P 500 down 0.3. Eli Lilly is down 0.1. Fortinet and CrowdStrike are down about 1% each. You got Cloudflare that's down about 2%. Rivian's up a little bit after spinning out their micro mobility service and getting $105 million of funding yesterday. So a little bit of a spin out from their core business, and that's kind of getting the street excited, I guess, for the core, for the actual auto business to not be as clogged with different stuff. That's up about 1.65%. AMD's down 2.7. All the quantums are down about 1%. SoFi, wow, down 4.48. I don't know if SoFi is down based on the Robinhood event or based on macro. You would think Robinhood would be down a little bit more if SoFi is down that much. Where's PayPal? PayPal's down 1.3. Yeah, SoFi down 4 might be a little bit of a reaction to the Robinhood event versus the macro, because all the other fintechs are barely down 1%. But you got SoFi right there, 4.5%. Robinhood trying to go green right here, 44.65. Tessie goes green. Tessie goes green, 275. Where's GM? GM is, wow, 7%. Obviously, the market interpreted tariffs as bullish for one company and not bullish for another company. Ford is down about 1% right here. GM down 7%. And then Tessie getting the benefit, given most of the cars they make are in America. 275 is green right now. Ravi says, I sold all my SoFi and I got into Hood. Is anyone doing that? Is anyone doing that in the chat? Is anyone getting rid of all their SoFi and getting into Hood? I don't know, dude. I do think SoFi is undervalued, but I also think people want to see product get shipped and innovation and all this stuff. And if they're not seeing it SoFi, I don't know. I don't know how long they continue to stay in the stock. I do think, $20 by the end of the year, just based on the loan platform, is more possible. That's why I continue to hold my options. But yeah, I can imagine seeing why people want to make the transition at this point, especially if Robinhood price keeps going down. I mean, then you get a lot of this stuff for free. The street's not kind of reacting to it yet. And you get to get into it before that growth ends up being priced in and ultimately be taking place for Robinhood. HIMS right here is down 2%. GameStop down 8%. S&P 500 down 0.4, almost down 0.5% on the day. Palantir right here down 1%. Got a bit of a green candle though. So we're at 91.20. Small green candle right there. Where's the Mag 7? They are all red except Tessie, but Tessie's trying to hold on. It's not a super duper green day for Tesla. It's up about 0.5. Google's down, Amazon's down, Nvidia, wow, another 2% on Nvidia. Could barely hold 111. Apple's down, Microsoft's down, Meta's down. Meta right back from 630 to 602. You think Meta's out of the doghouse from 570 to 630. You buy it at 630. You say, all right, we can normalize here. We're right back to 602. This is one of those markets where you have to freaking hold your nose and buy the dip and be ready. If you buy a Hood at 48, well, it might go to 44. You buy Nvidia at 115 yesterday after it's already down 7%. Well, you might go down to 111, and you just got to deal with it here. It's aggressive, very aggressive in the context of volatility. Wouldn't you wait for Hood to dip more to get in? I mean, yeah, look, it's all based on your personal preference for price action. If you want a DCA, you DCA. If you want, I don't think Hood is expensive here, but yes, could Hood go lower from here? Absolutely. I mean, if SoFi right here down 5.5%, if we really get into increased volatility from the tariffs on April 2nd, which leads to this whole sell-off because the 10-year is trying to go down. I mean, the 10-year is still pumping right now, and I don't think the White House likes that. 4.365. That's a new 3-week high. Yeah, that could definitely hurt equities, and as a result, that could definitely hurt Robinhood. So that is something that we could see happen. Am I frozen right now? Let's see. No, I'm good. I'm good. Was I frozen for a second? No, I'm good. Okay, cool. So yeah, it's ultimately just a question of how bad the macro is when it comes to Hood's price action. Yeah, 10-year, dude, 4.37 is aggressive on the 10-year. Like, that's really aggressive on the 10-year, dude. We were at almost 4.12 last week. We're holding 28 on fear and greed. Well, remember, S&P's bottom was 549. We lost the 200-day, right? Yeah, we lost the 200-day. We are $4 away from the 200-day, so maybe we can reclaim it, but it's gone for now. We would have to see about 4% down to get back to those levels. And if that happens, yeah, Robinhood below 40, Tesla maybe back at 230. I mean, like, those things are very possible. If it's that bad of a sell-off, Palantir back at 70. I mean, like, I could definitely see some of that stuff end up playing out. Thomas, thank you for the $10 super chat. Amit, just wanted to mention I love the morning show, bro. Keep up the excellent work. Thomas, thank you so much. Appreciate you for being here. And thank you for keeping up with the show every single day. One thing I will say, guys, is that after the show was done yesterday and it was 8 a.m., this is the one bull case to move into California. I felt so productive. I was like, holy crap. I know I say this every time I come to California, but like the show's done, which is like a big part of my day, and it's only 8 a.m. And it's just like, you just feel like you accomplished so much already and the day's barely even started. So that is the cool part about being on the West Coast. But I just don't think I could actually move here, dude. Like, I still need that New York City vibe. Also, by the way, San Francisco is a cold place. That 70 degrees that everyone was talking about a couple days ago, like, oh, well, San Francisco is going to be so good. I was talking to the guy who invited us at Uber, and he was like, dude, this 70-degree day is like the first time we hit 70 degrees out of like the past 100 days. Like, that doesn't happen normally. Normally, it's in the 50s. And so if I did move to LA or California, I would want to move to LA where the weather is actually nice. Because in San Francisco, it's not nice. It's windy. It's chilly. Like, it's not that, beautiful California weather. But 2 days ago, it was nice. Yesterday, it was cold again. So it is. I did not bring the cold here, bro. I was trying to, because Tanner and Roy were like, oh, you brought the cold here. And I was trying to, like, dude, like, is it like, and the Uber guy was like, no, dude, it's cold here every day. But they wouldn't believe me. It's not raining today. It almost rained yesterday. It was like drizzling yesterday, but very small drizzle. Overall, it was not too bad. Yeah, San Diego, LA, those places have the right weather. San Francisco, not really. Okay, we got another headline from Nvidia. Nvidia will anchor the CoreWeave deal at $40 a share with a 250 million order, cites CNBC. Why is this? This is weird. Like, my last reading from the CoreWeave IPO, Robinhood, by the way, down 1%, Tesla up 1%, is that they are so oversubscribed. So it's weird that they reduced the price per share if they were that oversubscribed. And it's also weird that Nvidia has to support it with a $250 million order. It's not the worst thing in the world for Nvidia to do that. Also, Nvidia bought a GPU reseller yesterday for a couple $100 million. I don't know the name of the company, but apparently they bought another GPU reseller yesterday. So I don't think that's why the stock's down, but that is like the second acquisition. They bought a distillation company for LLM inference training last week, Greta AI, for like 300 million or something. Wow, below 111 on Nvidia. She gives us 110. She gives us 110. Goodness freaking gracious. Toby says, I did a road trip from San Diego to San Fran and I had not packed the right clothes. Yeah, dude, it's cold here. It's freaking cold in this place. Wow, there you go. Nvidia 110. There she goes, down 2.4%. SoFi's getting a little. I think it's because of the Robinhood event now. I mean, like, SoFi down 6% feels aggressive because the other fintechs, PayPal is down 1%. Affirm is down 4%. Maybe it's following Affirm there. And then Hood's down 2%? Hood's down 1.6%. So SoFi down 7 feels, again, a bit aggressive here. Are we buying more Nvidia? I don't know, bro. I think we got to wait a little bit to see how this is bottoming out. I mean, look, I don't think 110 is scary on Nvidia, but I think we got to see. Market obviously wants to go lower. Tariffs is not helping. I don't think it's like an obvious kind of bottom in this area because we just had 3 days of a green rally. We're giving back a lot of it. We're not giving back all of it, but we're giving back a lot of it. If the S&P were to fall back to 550, we have started to give back most of it. I don't know. I don't know. I think it'll take another couple days to see, was it really a dead cat bounce? Was just money getting scared because of tariffs? Does this reverse? Grab's holding up really nicely, though. 477 on Grab. Wow, we hit 484 at one point. Was that pre-markets? Yeah, that was pre-markets, but 477 on Grab. So that one's holding up. Dollar Tree's green after selling Family Dollar yesterday. And then Palantir just went under 90, 89.95 here right now. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. I don't know. I think it'll take a couple days to see how this price action really is going to end up playing out. Oracle, thank you for the $20 super chat. Here's $20 to not take a Waymo. What do you do now? Appreciate you, Oracle. Dude, I'm serious. Like, it's not even about being cheap. In the moment, like, I spend a lot when I travel, and I can write off the Waymo as a business expense, right? Like, it's not about being cheap at all. I just told you guys I spent $150 on a freaking Lululemon hoodie yesterday. It was not about the price of paying $20 for the Waymo. It was the fact that as a real user, I would never pay that amount. And so if I wanted a user experience, like even Tanner and Roy, they were like, what the hell? No, we're not paying $20 for a Waymo. So the price immediately turned us off, right? And that's the reason we didn't pay it. Because we were just like, this should not be, the experience sucks right here if we have to pay this much. A real user would never pay that much. They would immediately go to a different resource to get a cheaper price. So again, I have a couple hours before the airport. I will try to take a Waymo today and try to do something to see what it feels like. But in the moment, I wasn't thinking of, oh, someone sent me a $20 super chat to take Waymo. In the moment, I was thinking like, I would never take this as a real user. And I feel like that's even more valuable as feedback. Like as a real user, you would never do that. And I'm really curious, can Robo-Taxi get the cost down in Austin? Because if they can, I think there's going to be a lot of disruption for Uber, Lyft, and Waymo. You know what was also interesting with the Uber employee that we were with? We were with him for about an hour at the headquarters, and we asked him like straight up, is Tesla going to kill the business? And his argument was Tesla's not going to kill the business, but Uber needs to meaningfully create partnerships that makes them a platform for autonomous ride hailing, because that is the future. So it's not like he was bearish on Uber, but he was definitely cognizant of the fact that if we don't, we being Uber, pivot to making sure autonomy comes first, and Uber has all the resources to do that, they just like really have to execute, then their lunch might get eaten by a Tesla or even by a Waymo. So I think that's the kind of the core premise when it comes to the long-term trajectory of Uber. But he did feel like some of the Tesla killing Uber stuff is overblown. Because it's like Uber has the infrastructure. They have 150 million users. They're in like 70 countries. It's like they have a lot of stuff that Tesla does. Tesla just got approval to go to Austin, and maybe they'll get approval for California, right? Tesla right here up 2%. So they can scale pretty aggressively, but it's not like Uber doesn't have a dog in this race. They're just really going to have to execute to be able to aggressively get this done. I got to talk to a couple of other of the Uber engineers, and I asked them the same question, and they said they're pretty much the same thing. They're just like, yeah, we've got to figure out autonomy if we really want this to work long term. Bitcoin right here down 1.95%. The only thing that's green today, quite frankly, is Tesla. Uber is like slightly green right now, but Tesla, it looks like the market's interpreting tariffs as bullish for Tesla. It really does. That is wild. On a bloody red day, Tesla is the one that goes green. Amit, do you think tariffs on the auto industry is long Carvana? Well, wouldn't that just make used cars more expensive? Carvana right here down 4%. Or would that make used cars cheaper if new cars get more expensive? But no, then everyone would go to used cars, and then used cars would get more expensive, right? I don't see how this makes cars cheaper. And I'm not a tariff expert by any means, or not an automotive expert by any means. But if we tariff the crap out of all these car companies, doesn't the cost just get passed on to the consumer unless you build in America? Well, that's the obvious answer, right? Trump wants everyone to build in America. But how many companies are actually going to build all their cars in America? And like, if they do start transitioning from all these other countries into America, how long does that take? How many supply chain bottlenecks pop up? Because like Toyota's not moving to America overnight. So it's like, and maybe the market's giving Tesla a bump right here because Tesla's going to be one of the only companies that is able to manufacture the majority of their stuff in America. And therefore, even though Elon says tariffs will have a significant impact on them, they will find a way to not be as impacted as a GM, Ford, Toyota, Honda, etc. But I don't see how cars are going to get cheaper. If anything, maybe it makes people get more into autonomous rides because they don't want to buy a car and they'd rather take a cheap robo-taxi for $5 instead of paying a $30,000 loan on a regular car. Maybe it's a tailwind for autonomy. but I'm not sure how this is going to end up playing out. Jerome says you can't move factories within mere years. Yeah, I mean, like these are complex supply chains. Also, like workers in Japan make less than workers in Detroit. Like you have totally different dynamics around minimum wage and regulations and all this stuff. And there's different types of work ethic within those workers versus United States workers in terms of output and productivity. It's a very complex thing to just move it overnight. A firm right here down 5%, which is why I think Trump is using this more as bargaining than not. But again, he's not bargaining with like other countries. He's bargaining with the auto companies. I mean, maybe he's using the auto companies as a pawn to bargain with the countries in which those auto companies are originated in. So he'll get better deals from Japan on other tariffs if he can tariff the crap out of Toyota. But I still think it might be more of a negotiation tactic than anything else. Apple right here, 221, Adobe 394, Nike 6623, Coinbase 191, Microsoft 387, Oklo 25, that's down 4%, and then Meta right here is down 1.3% of the day. Thoughts on the new Google AI Gemini 2.5? I haven't tried it yet, but Roy did try it. We were talking about it at breakfast yesterday, and he thinks it's getting really good. I just haven't had the chance to try it yet. I will try it over the weekend, but yeah, it does seem like they are ingesting even more sources of data from their proprietary training models, and Gemini is getting better and better and better. Which, speaking of Gemini, dude, I mean, can we talk about OpenAI for a second? These guys are getting ready to raise at $300 billion, $40 billion coming from SoftBank. $40 billion from SoftBank, $300 billion valuation. OpenAI expects $29 billion in revenue in 2026 and $12.7 billion in 2025, growing 3x by 2026. Or sorry, growing double by 2026. So they're going to be growing 3x this year and then double 2026. $300 billion valuation. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it. I think there's kind of a moat, but I also think there's kind of not a moat. These fancy revenue numbers are very misleading. It's like, that does not matter. Like, where's the profit going to come from? Where is the free cash flow going to come from? And also, can you actually sustain these types of revenue numbers if there's a Google Gemini, if there's a Grok, if there's a Claude, et cetera, et cetera? Now, maybe OpenAI is just so much better than all of them, and they're just going to winner takes all this entire LLM market. And maybe that could happen. And maybe that's why SoftBank is so excited to put $40 billion. Or maybe Sam Altman's working on something that only SoftBank knows about, and it hasn't been leaked to the rest of the media, and that's why he's so confident putting in $40 billion. But I am very surprised that they're able to raise this much money at that valuation. So did Tesla turn green? No, Tesla red candle, but still green on the day. It did not turn red yet. But they're raising a lot of money. They're raising a lot of money. And we're going to see what happens here. Now, again, SoftBank has had some questionable investments. They lost $15 billion in WeWork. And the past 5 years have not been that good. There was this one company they invested in. I'm forgetting the name. They invested in a text messaging app. And the app, they invested like $1 billion or something. This was 2021 bubble stuff. And the app was faking all their users. The app said they had like 200 million users. The app had like 5,000 users. And they somehow got through SoftBank's due diligence phase by completely faking the phone numbers, the addresses, the names of all these people. I'm forgetting the name of the company, but if you guys can find out, you could probably find it on TechCrunch. And so SoftBank, the point is, has just made really questionable investments. Either Moss is going to look like a visionary here, or this is going to be the dumbest product ever, or the dumbest investment ever in the context of OpenAI. Their moat is their platform and distribution, not a model. Okay, so I am sympathetic to this argument. My question is, and maybe the answer is yes, is first mover advantage, which OpenAI clearly has had with the launch of ChatGPT before every other model, the defining moat over the next decade for why they become the biggest AI company on the planet? Is it really first mover advantage? Because if the other guys can do something as good as you, and they can scale and they can distribute, do you have that moat? Like, again, there were many search engines before Google came. So there were a lot of first movers into search, Ask.com, Yahoo, et cetera. But then Google just ended up building a better one. And one can argue Grok is better than OpenAI. And then, people just started using Google over everything, and then Google scaled. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen, but I also wouldn't be surprised to say, hey, everyone uses ChatGPT. No one cares about other models because they're hooked on ChatGPT. And so they're just going to be keep being hooked on ChatGPT. And as a result, their moat lies in distribution, which could be an argument. I just think time will tell if that ends up playing out. Adam, thank you for the $10 super chat. Appreciate you, brother. Hey, Amit, I missed the Hood event. Can you give me the TLDR? Also, what's this thing about banking being offered? The TLDR is that they are trying to become one of the biggest financial services company on the planet. In terms of private banking, again, I'll talk a lot more about it tomorrow and on Robinhood Weekly. But yeah, they're becoming a bank, and they don't need a banking charter to become a bank. But if you have $1 million in JP Morgan, you can bring that into your checking and savings account onto Robinhood. And then they built a suite of integrated features. I mean, they're doing tax planning. They're just doing all this stuff on Hood. And that allows you to get some of the private banking features that usually exist for the wealthy now onto one app. It's coming out in October, so I think we'll get a lot more details over the coming months. But this seems like a product they've been working on for a long time. And it's funny, again, at the Robinhood Investor Day, the chief credit officer said that they're going to be coming out with a product that's as cool as 3% cash back at the next gold event in the banking space. And it turns out to be an entire banking product and ecosystem was what they were working on. And now it's just going to be a question of how much market share can they take away from some of the incumbent banks that exist right now. Why are they going down today? Well, I don't know. Why is any stock going down, right? Like it's one of those things where I had a feeling about this. Like they pumped last night and I was like, all right, it makes sense they're pumping because the announcements are good, but like this is not going to hold. Like while we were on the way to the event, I'm looking at these tariff headlines and I'm like, oh yeah, this is like, no matter what Robinhood says tonight, you got to be focused on the long term, because if you're focused on the stock pumping on these announcements, there's no way they can keep up with the tariff volatility being an overhang across everything right now. And so I guess we just got to deal with a lot of this volatility. All the other LLMs except Claude are tied to a company with different products. OpenAI's main product is the LLM. Yeah, which begs the question, right? Is first mover advantage on the LLM what you need to sustain these types of growth rates? And look, I don't even want to say I'm betting against OpenAI. I think there's other compelling AI opportunities that are out there as well. I think that OpenAI is going to grow like crazy. My question is just, at what point do other companies take away some of that margin? And if they do, it begs the question, where do we get the multiple on the valuation from if they're not going to be profitable for the next 6 years? So I do think if they went public, though, the stock would go crazy, because it would become a stock that everyone just wants to say they want to own a little bit of OpenAI. It's still a very sought after private stock. So I think if they go public in the next couple of years and they show a ton of revenue, people will get excited. But that revenue ultimately has to turn into this broad long-term thesis on the nature of where AI is going, where AGI is going, and that OpenAI is going to be a big winner when it comes to that. We do have an update on Palantir right here. So this was a headline this morning. The U.S. is considering a battlefield artificial intelligence product at the Mexico border. Palantir is among one of the firms in talks to supply this technology. This was reported by Reuters this morning. The Trump administration is looking to build battlefield-level AI and satellite surveillance to the U.S.-Mexico border. Agencies like the NGA and NRO have been tasked with monitoring the region. Multiple defense contractors, both new and established, are reportedly in talks to support the initiative, with Palantir among those mentioned. This is not really Doge, but this is kind of why I think Karp was smirking in that interview when they asked him about Doge, because he probably knows, hey, our name is being thrown around in a lot of different conversations when it comes to building software that is relevant for the U.S. government. And a surveillance tool on the Mexico border, it sounds pretty obvious that Palantir could build something like that. And if they're collaborating with different defense contractors to build a software product like that, then yeah, there you go. That could be an additional contract for Palantir. And obviously that could lead the pathway for many, many more additional contracts in regards to border and immigration and a variety of other products from the U.S. government over the coming years. We're getting a little green, folks. Tesla's actually maintaining its green, 2.4%. S&P 500. Yeah, it's very, I mean, it's about $3 away from getting the 200-day. If we can Robinhood goes green. If we can reclaim the 200-day on the S&P today, by the end of the day, that would be a lot of encouragement by the market, feeling that this is like not a typical sell. That this was a pullback yesterday based on tariff news, but it's not like a fundamental reason to sell off stocks. If we can actually reclaim that 200-day. If we lose it for the next couple of days, like I feel like it's lookout below, right? No one knows what's happening. But theoretically, if we were to bounce, we should reclaim it. So 575 on the S&P, that's what you need to look for. 575, we need to reclaim that. I think Jason talked about this yesterday as well. Is like we can't go below 560 because then we're like in a free fall territory. But if we can reclaim the 200-day, that would be very encouraging. Rocket Lab had a good launch yesterday. Rocket Lab down about 3%, but they had a great launch from New Zealand yesterday, so that was good for Rocket Lab. Palantir right back above 90. Nubank is green. Coca-Cola's green. JP Morgan slightly down. Google trying to go green. Grab 477, and then Celsius right here at 34.91. That is green as well. Amit, thoughts on final GDP coming at 2.4 instead of 2.3? Okay, so I forgot to mention that headline. I saw that today as well. So GDP for the United States in Q4 came in, it looks like this is the final estimate, at 2.4% versus 2.3. And then initial jobless claims came in at 224 versus 225,000. So initial jobless claims have been relatively steady over the past couple of weeks. I don't think this matters that much. 2.3 versus 2.4 is not that big of a deal. However, I think it is encouraging for Q1 GDP to not come in as aggressively as some people are estimating. Remember, the estimates right now are negative 1.8%, and that's because there was a ton of imports to avoid the tariffs in Q4. Now, maybe all those imports is what's actually allowing GDP to only be 2.4% in Q4 and then be negative in Q1. But I do think it was good that we saw the tick on 2.4 versus 2.3, because now if we do see a negative Q1 print, at least we'll know that the reason we ticked higher, even if it was by 0.1 for Q4, was because of a ton of imports before getting into tariffs, which is smart by companies. Like, they should be importing as much as possible before Trump unveils a ton of tariffs on different products and goods. If we go positive for Q1 GDP and the Atlanta Fed is wrong, Robinhood going green, I think markets would really like that. Now, would inflation expectations like that? I don't know. It would be a little bit tougher, but earnings growth definitely would be happy with a positive GDP read in Q1. The May percentage for a rate cut is now as low as 13.6%. It was 18% last week. The June cut is now priced in at 57%. So the market still thinks there's a better than a coin flip chance that June we get a cut. But May is looking not that likely at 13%. May is only a couple months away. So I guess we will see what happens there. Netflix, 976. That's up 0.58%. That one's green. Nvidia is trying to go green. Hoodie is trying to get to 45. And then Palantir, 91.77. That one also slightly red for the day. Amit, do you hedge your portfolio? Or are you long only? I guess you could say covered calls is a hedge, but in terms of actually buying puts, no. You know what's interesting about this hedging topic is in the beginning of the year, I was thinking of buying calls on short QQQ. I was going to put like 10K of calls into SQQQ, which I was, perfectly fine with losing that 10K, but just off the off chance that tech took a reversal and the Mag 7 started looking like the Bag 7, then those would print. I should have done that. That would have been a decent move at the beginning of the year. Just letting that print, it would have at least saved some of the pain on the downside. And if I lost the 10K, then I lost the 10K. But I didn't end up doing that. So if anyone did take some hedging strategies earlier this year, they are probably working out better than just being completely long only. You're okay with losing 10K. It's not about being okay with losing 10K. It's just like, that's the whole point of a hedge is you want to lose the hedge because your long should massively outperform your hedge. And on the off chance that your long doesn't perform your hedge, the hedge helps you recover some of the lost capital from the long. But I think whether it's 10K, 100K, hedge funds are literally hedging with billions of dollars, right? Like, you have to be comfortable losing your hedge. That's the whole point of the hedge. And the best hedge funds find a way to not lose their hedge, which is why their trading algorithms are so hyper specific, because they try to save every single penny that they can. But at the end of the day, you do have to lose some money to be able to risk mitigate the returns you get, which is why hedge funds don't really outperform. Like, you don't see hedge funds getting like these massive moves against the S&P 500. Money managers like Buffett and Ackman, they can beat the S&P because they're so long. But hedge funds, Citadel in 2023 got like 15%. I think last year they got 17 or 18%, and the S&P got 25% because they have so many losses along with so many profits because they're hedging everything to the downside. And their upside's limited as well because they're hedging. So I think the philosophical argument around a hedge is you better be ready to lose it. But if you lose it, technically it should be a good thing. GameStop right here down 13%. So this one, Bitcoin not really being the hedge to GameStop getting hit right here. Down 13%. What else do we have? Oklo's up a little bit. Some of these spec stocks getting, no, they're still down 1.6%. The spec portfolio is red. Semis, wow, look at semis. Red across the board. Broadcom, Qualcomm, TSM, Marvell, Lam Research, Dell, Nvidia, SMCI. SMCI was down 8% yesterday. It's down another 2% today. SMH, the semiconductor ETF, this thing is down 10% year to date. So being in this over the S&P has been rather bad based on how semis have acted this year. But last year, again, those were one of the best performing ETFs out there. Let's get an update from BMO Capital. This is one of the analysts that has been rather bullish for basically the past 2-3 years now. They've been along there with Tom Lee and Dan Ives kind of calling for a bull market here. So they still believe 6,700 on the S&P 500 is very possible. Let's get their perspective and then we'll keep going from there.
Brian, we'll continue to go through all of that, but we have had a number.
About how she doesn't like anything, the more bullish I get. If you take a look at post great financial crisis earnings, we're still above those earnings numbers, down 2%. It's nothing. If you take a look at the 500 stocks in the S&P 500, we've seen zero negative revisions for FY2. If you look at energy up 10%, energy, consumer staples, utilities have been more of a momentum trade, just as Europe has been. I don't buy stocks based on price. I buy stocks based on fundamentals. How can energy continue to maintain its positive performance if WTI is going to be down? 95% of the time when WTI is neutral or down, the energy sector underperforms the market. That's where we're going at the end of the year. So guess what? Our theme remains resolute. I'll quote the great philosopher Ricky Bobby, where he said, if you ain't first, you're last. Meaning we were the first people to put out our target number. We're not changing it. Everybody else is going to change their number back up again when the good news comes in. We have been underweight the Mag 7, overweight the constituents of the three sectors that make up the other stocks in the three sectors that make up the Mag 7. That's why our stuff's outperforming this year, and that's why I think our portfolios will continue to outperform.
The good stuff is coming. I'm with you. How do you get to 6,600 without the Mag 7? Because to go to 6,600, I'm telling you that the Mag 7 are a screaming buy right here.
Well, Nasdaq's down 300 points,
Certain
almost
parts
2%.
of the Mag 7 are screaming buys. But how did the market
you need.
I disagree, and here's why I disagree. Because if you take a look at the performance of the Mag 7, Joe, as you know this, in the fourth quarter, they actually underperformed. What outperformed in the fourth quarter? Small cap, financials, things that have not been working. So I think that we're going to see massive rotation still into the areas that have been oversold, that aren't necessarily in Mag 7.
Even if we're asking ourselves whether this is a slowdown in the economy or something worse, like a recession. The reason why that all worked
There are no signs
is we
of
didn't have recession
though.
questions
There are no
then.
signs of recession.
That I agree with.
There are no signs of recession.
Are there signs of slowdown?
There's not no signs.
Yes.
There are no signs of recession.
There's signs of slowdown, though. There are.
A slowdown is not a recession, and a 10% correction is not a bear market. We're acting like it's a bear market, and it's not. We're not seeing substantive signs in the economy of a recession, period. Oh, by the way, Powell said that too. So is he wrong? Are people wrong? They're seeing the stuff that is not bad? And the answer is
Why is the Russell down 7% on the year?
Because the Russell, there's 400 companies in the Russell 2000 that don't even make any money. Guess what? The other ones that do make money are actually really, really good companies. So it's not about buying the index, it's about buying the company.
And
Told you guys, this guy's I told you, he's bullish. He's bullish, bro. He said recession. The fuck you talking about recession? He's like, where's no recession? 10% correction is not a recession. I like that guy. He can debate. I like him because he's bullish and a little, the confirmation bias in me likes it. But in reality, no, I mean, I disagree when he says there's no signs of a recession. There are consumer confidence is definitely a sign of not a recession, but okay, we don't ignore that. For him to just unequivocally ignore that is, I think, not the right way to think of it, even though technically he is right. That's not a full on, all right, it's a recession sign.
But like no one can really predict when the recession happens. So you try to look at some pieces of data and say, hey, could this be bad? And I don't think you get cocky enough to be like, well, no, there's no way there's going to be no recession. But his broader argument here is that the Russell is down because there's shitty companies in the Russell, right? The NASDAQ is down because they got overextended and people got tired of that trade. The rest of the market, which we have seen a rotation into to an extent, utilities, consumer staples, financials, and then pharmaceuticals, those are benefiting in this, you could call it quote unquote market rotation that is turned into a rally in certain sectors and a sell-off in other sectors, which he's right about. That's not a recession and that's not recessionary. That's actually just the market picking and choosing where they want to be. And that means maybe Nvidia doesn't outperform by the end of the year, but that doesn't necessarily mean the S&P 500 can't get to that 6,500, 6,700 level. Tesla up 2.7%, trying to go for 280 right here. Tesla being a real anomaly. I mean, I feel like this is super bullish that on a red day like this, Tesla's up the most out of all the growth stocks. The S&P 500 also just turned green, which is really nice to see as well. And you're getting a little bit of momentum across the board. Josh says he's right, though. There's very little signs confidence is a survey. That's a good point. I mean, if you look at the inflation data, which we've been looking at, CPI and PPI is falling off. One could argue that, yes, inflation is dead. So consumer confidence, that is more survey-based. And if you kind of don't necessarily trust the surveys, but trust the... that's actually... See, this, I think you guys might have been hearing this term over the past couple of weeks, hard data versus soft data. Jay Powell explicitly talked about these two different terms. Hard data is CPI, PPI, which is saying there's no recession. Soft data, like consumer confidence, is saying there could be something to worry about, or like Delta's guidance, et cetera. And Jay Powell said, hey, pay attention to the hard data, not the soft data. That's essentially what he said at the FOMC last week. I think the more hard data we get that's bullish, the more this is a buy the dip opportunity. Because at the end of the day, hard data wins over soft data. And earnings growth, which is the hardest of the data, really wins over, Michigan consumer sentiment studies. So if you believe that there's no recession in sight, then these are buy the dips. It's just a question of where you want to be positioned to get advantage of those dips. Now, Tesla right here, is Tesla extended for the Q1 earnings they're about to put up? Yeah. But this is now becoming one of those more narrative trades, even in a kind of crappy market. Also, Tesla was down 50%. At some point, the sellers get exhausted, the buyers step in. So like there's other qualitative arguments you could make for Tesla still trading at these extended levels. And if we get back to 300, then, then we're really going to see some momentum on Tesla. By the way, why are you guys talking about Ricky Bobby in the chat? Who the hell is Ricky Bobby? Ricky Bobby. The Talladega Nights, the Ballad of Ricky Bobby. This is a movie. Will Ferrell. Did he mention Ricky Bobby when he was talking or something? What was the I kept seeing Ricky Bobby. Like, who the fuck is Ricky Bobby? What are you guys talking about? He quoted him. What did he say? What was the quote? Ricky Bobby. Dude, I promise I've never heard of Ricky Bobby. The Ballad of Ricky Bobby, 2006. NASCAR superstar Ricky Bobby is at the top of his game, adored by fans, a trophy wife by his side, and incredible wealth, but Ricky loses it all when French Formula One champion Jean Girard roars into the scene. Ricky, with the help of his ruthless father, must pull himself out of the depths of despair and restore his honor on the racetrack. Okay, Ricky Bobby, or Ricky Bobby, whatever his name is. Dude, I don't know who these people are. You guys quote all these cultural references in the chat. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? By the way, you'll be proud of me. I did not have a mocktail last night. I had a Moscato, and then I had 2 Moscow Mules, baby. 2 of them. So I had 3 drinks last night. Your boy was floating. Your boy was wavy. Actually, no, I wasn't even that buzzed, to be honest. But I did ask for a Shirley Temple. I did ask. And the guy was like, he had one of those faces like, sir, we don't have any Shirley Temples. He was like, he wants to like throw fucking the Coke in my face. And I was like, all right, can I have like a Moscow Mule? And he was like, yes, we have Moscow Mules. So your boy actually drank some real alcohol last night. Moscow Mule is becoming my drink of choice, dude. I really like that drink. Like, I enjoy that drink a lot. Like, I like the fact that I had 2 of them, that means I liked it. So I enjoyed it. Ricky Bobby did an advertisement for PayPal. Shake and bake. Okay, so apparently Tanner and Roy know who this Ricky Bobby dude is. Guys, I promise you, I've never heard of Ricky Bobby in my life. I know who Will Ferrell is, the guy from Elf. I know that, but Talladega Nights, the Ballad of Ricky Bobby. I've never seen this before, ever. But I'll put that on the list to watch now. A Moscow Mule is like a lemony. I think vodka's in it. I don't even know what's in it. It's just like, I don't know. I just like it, dude. I don't know where I heard it from. I think someone mentioned it one day, and then I was like, all right, I'll try it. And I don't even know what's in it. It just tastes good. Like, oh, ginger beer. Correct. Ginger beer. That's what's in it. Yeah. Vodka and ginger beer. There you go. Maybe that's why I like it. So I guess it's not as hard liquor, and it doesn't taste as like nasty as some of the other drinks that you could drink. Vodka with ginger beer. Okay, cool. Dude, I don't know what's in it. I just asked for a Moscow. I heard that's a common drink. So I had it, I think, a month ago for the first time. And I really liked it. I was like, all right, this is gonna be my drink of choice. Some people saw the picture with me holding the drink. They're like, are you sipping on whiskey? I'm like, dude, I'm like, I don't know how to sip on whiskey, bro. It's like cough syrup. It's like I don't know how to drink that stuff. But Moscow Mule, I loved it. I think I had a Jack and a Coke, not last night, but a month ago. And that's good too. But I actually like how Coke tastes. So the Jack kind of like makes the Coke not as good. So I stopped drinking Jack and Cokes. But yeah, Moscow Mules are my thing. Yo, Tanner. So are we selling SoFi? Yo, Tanner, come downstairs and join the market open and give everyone your thoughts on SoFi now, because we got to talk about this, bro. We got to see. Let's see if Tanner had enough of his beauty sleep. He needs to come downstairs and join the show. And we need to get his thoughts on what just happened last night. Like, dude, the first thing Tanner said when we were done with the freaking keynote was, I think I'm trimming some of my SoFi. And I don't even think it was a heat of the moment type of thing. It was just like, because Tanner's a banking guy. Tanner's a fintech guy. And what Robinhood announced yesterday was just like a real shot in the heart against everything SoFi has been trying to integrate into like one financial services ecosystem product with banking. Robinhood just said, yeah, we're going to do that too. And so 5 minutes. All right, cool. We'll get Tanner on in 5 minutes. Cool. Yeah, it's just pretty damn exciting to see what they're doing. What about lending in Galileo? Dude, what about it? Some of the SoFi bulls yesterday on X were like, oh, well, Robinhood's going to be running all this stuff on Galileo. Dude, who cares? Like, that is like a very small percentage of the revenue that SoFi is getting. And if Robinhood's paying them a couple $1 million a year, just because the transactions are running through SoFi's backend technology does not mean the value is in that backend technology. And again, Netflix, Spotify, they run on AWS, Amazon. That's why AWS has this multiple and people get excited about it, et cetera. But that's because AWS has, I would say, millions and millions of clients across the entire world that are using their infrastructure. SoFi was pitched as the AWS of fintech. And if Robinhood's the biggest client they have, paying them a couple $1 million a year for their backend APIs, then like that's not a real tech platform, dude. So people try to be like, well, Robinhood's using SoFi. It's like, okay, so who cares? Like why does that matter? Like, unless Galileo is being used by everybody, which it's not, and we can see that in the growth numbers, then I don't think that matters. In terms of lending, again, lending just gets you a shitty multiple. It's a bank. Lending gets you a bank multiple. We actually asked the Uber guy who's worked in tech for like a decade, and we asked him, like, so why are you, like, he has a lot of Robinhood, dude. Like, he started buying Robinhood at $8 and he loaded up heavy on it. That's how we met him on Twitter. And we're like, why aren't you into SoFi? And he was just like, I just think it's a bank, and this is a tech guy. This is a Silicon Valley guy who like understands technology. He's like, where's the tech? Like, what do we mean? And now maybe the loan platform can change that, which I think there's a lot of potential for over the next year. But in terms of being a consumer-facing tech product, I just don't think we're seeing a lot of the consumer tech innovation or product velocity from SoFi. Palantir just went green. Palantir is about to go green. It's 24 cents from going green. Nvidia is trying to go green. Hoodie just went green. And then Tesla holding on to 3% right here for the day. Chris said I got so much hate when I said that. Yeah, that's true, bro. Chris did get a lot of hate when he just called SoFi a bank a year ago. But it's a bank, dude. It's a bank. And like, I don't have anything against SoFi, dude. I have my SoFi options. I'm hoping we get to 20. I don't have SoFi stock because I'm just like not that interested anymore in following the day-to-day of the company. But it's not like I'm just selling my options and I'm up like 12 grand on the options. And like, yeah, there's a risk to holding on to it versus taking the 12 grand right now. But it's not like, oh, I'm like, screw SoFi. I'm just taking my money. I'm getting out. I'm like, no, I think there's a thesis here to get to 20 by the end of the year and get a double. But I think people forget SoFi is a consumer tech company. But most of their business is like this back-end infrastructure lending stuff, which is super boring. People only see the app. And when like the average person, when they see the app, they're like, okay, Robinhood app, SoFi app, which one is cooler? Even though the majority of SoFi's business is not through the investing platform, it's through lending and tech and Galileo and all that stuff and financial services. But when people compare it face to face and they see Robinhood's innovation and they see SoFi not doing anything and you can't even sell covered calls on it, that's when you get like, okay, what is this company doing and where's the narrative here? Even if they're still making a decent chunk of revenue from other parts of the business, the narrative is just, it's just hit. It's just not in a good spot. So again, I think, and it's not me saying it before anyone says I'm biased here. This is, again, I shared this in the morning, but DDI, the biggest SoFi advocate I could point to, is telling SoFi to get their butts in gear because Hood is coming for your banking clients. Time to put up or shut up. I mean, so if DDI is publicly saying, yeah, like there's an issue right now with SoFi, then I don't think it's like sell SoFi, it's bearish. I just think it's like, hey, the company's really, they have a window of showing they can actually live up to what they said they were going to be, which is a one-stop shop for financial services. And I don't know if that's happening right now. Again, it's about building a tech culture. It's about building a tech culture. Did you get rid of your SoFi options? I did not. I have all of them. I still am confident. So in the midst of me saying this, I'm still confident SoFi sees $20 by the end of the year, if not $25. Like, I think when it got to $10, that was stupid a couple weeks ago. At 13, or $12.50, I still think it's stupid. I don't think you take away that you compress the multiple to such an extent. So when I'm saying all this, it's not bearish SoFi. I think SoFi is a buy right here. It's just the opportunity cost of if you want to allocate to fintech, you can buy both. That's a really simple solution. But if you want one or the other, I think it's Hood just based on product velocity. But I don't think that means that SoFi needs to go back to $7 because I think that's stupid. I think it's a real company that's actually growing. It's just not exciting to the general public right now. Is Grab green? Are we green on Grab? Are we green on Grab? Wow, we're green on Grab. Okay, so for those that missed the news, I saw this last night and I freaked out, dude. This was just like super exciting to see when I got home from the Robinhood event. Grab is having their first ever product event on April 8th. It's called Grab X. This was so cool, bro. This was so cool. Because if this becomes the year where they start changing the narrative and they start realizing, all right, now where it's prime time for us to show off new products and hold events and really talk to investors and maybe have an investor day and all that stuff, that's where Grab could really be shifting from the past 4 years of their trajectory. And now we just got to see if they can end up playing this out. Tanner's late. Are the 5 minutes up? I think Tanner's late. I think Tanner is late. Dude, I was so happy Tanner was late on the show yesterday because it just made it more fun. It made it so much fun that he came in late. I was like, if he was here on time, we wouldn't get to make the joke. But the fact that he came in late, and I tried calling it. Like, I actually tried to like make him not be late. But it's Tanner, bro. It's, Canadians. They're not even just the Canadians. It's Tanner. Tanner is the Canadian. Look at it, on my way. All right, another 5 minutes, bro. Another 5 minutes for this guy. Yo, by the way, this shirt's from H&M. So all of you guys hating on H&M yesterday, I don't know why you guys were hating at H&M, bro. I don't know why you guys were hating. The shirt is great. It's a great shirt from H&M. Make Tanner swear he still has SoFi. Dude, Tanner's a lot of SoFi, but I don't know. We'll get his thoughts right now if he's thinking of actually trimming a little bit and moving. And I don't think anyone can blame him, bro. This guy's been advocating for SoFi for a long time. Like, and again, I've said this publicly many times. It is sad that Vlad, who didn't even really know Tanner until 7 months ago when Tanner got on the Robinhood train, is engaging with Tanner more, taking pictures with him, inviting him to private meet and greets more than Noto is. Like, that to me is just, that's another reason that I just can't stand SoFi. Something like, they just do not care about their core investors. Like, I think Noto wants BlackRock to buy SoFi, and it's like, BlackRock's not buying SoFi, but Tanner and Roy and DDI, they are. And it's like, they want this girl that they can't get. You got a bunch of other girls that are like really into you, and you're just like not paying attention at all. And it's like, all right, like, you're just not being grateful at this point. We're just not being grateful here. But hopefully they actually start embracing them a little bit more. Amit, are you buying the GameStop dip? I am not. Someone's knocking on the door. All right, I'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, he's awake from his beauty sleep. Mr. Future Investing, Tanner.
Good morning. Good morning.
What's up, man? This is the first time ever you've been on the market open.
Is it really?
Yeah, so we got to ring the bell. All right.
Thank you for having me.
So,
Are we selling SoFi?
Go ahead. Are you selling SoFi?
You know what? So I've just been thinking about it a lot in terms of, well, one, they're definitely tapping Galileo for some of these services. I can't see how they're not for direct deposit switch, some of these tools that they need. So it's not, that they're not going to be using Galileo. But like you said just before I came here, that might be 1/200th or maybe 1/1000th of the benefit that Robinhood is going to see by actually having the customer.
Yeah.
And while we were talking to Vlad too, he was like, the customer that we're actually seeing from the credit card and from surveys that they said that they want banking or cash management, is that they really are tapping not the average user, like a really high end user. That's what SoFi goes after.
Yeah.
So if they can do that, if they can offer a better credit card, if they can offer a better investing solution and continue to build that out, it's not that SoFi is going to be in trouble. It's just which one is going to outperform. And that is probably looking like it's going to be in the hands of Robinhood. And people right now are going to say, well, SoFi has lending for now,
So does Hood need a bank charter to do like
no. So
okay.
SoFi did lending, underwriting and everything like this way before they had a bank charter. They couldn't hold on to the loans more than 3 months, or was 6 months. Something.
So that's why they needed the banking chat.
So then they could hold it long term.
Got it.
So they had to continue to sell their book over and over and over. So then they could re-up on new loans. But if interest rates started to rise, then they would have got caught holding the bag, and they would have been forced to sell their loans at really bad pricing.
Right.
The thing with the lending part, though, is Robinhood won't even need to underwrite it at all. So maybe one of the newest tools in banking is embedded lending. So a lot of people think of embedded payments. Embedded lending is going to be the new thing. And
Which is the loan platforms.
Well, not really.
Okay.
So embedded lending would be something like going to one company's website, and there'll be APIs to attach to that brand and say, we need this information about you, all the information that would be a part of a lending application. You'd fill it out and you'd be doing your loan through one application, but then the benefactor of that loan would be like at a traditional bank.
Right.
And so I actually think that Robinhood is going to get into banking probably within the next 24 months at the speed of things. And they are not going to be the ones holding the loans. And they could surprise me. I mean, the credit card, they hold the loans there, and that I was not expecting.
So they don't have to do the underwriting if that's the case.
Yeah.
And they get the referral fees and the commissions from actually getting people into
they wouldn't even be the largest benefit. Like, so that's one thing that people are getting confused. They're like, okay, well, how is Robinhood taking deposits if they're not a bank? Well, they're splitting it with a traditional bank, and they're getting a referral fee for those dollars.
Yeah.
So there's ways to make money here without actually, like, you don't need the entire pie.
Yeah.
SoFi with banking is taking the entire pie, but how big's your pie? You know,
Yeah.
so if you can only go after a couple 100,000 or a few million users, well, great. You have the full deposit scheme, you have all the lending, everything, but it's 10 million users. If Robinhood could get 50 million over the next little bit that are gold paying, like, subscription users that are tapping them for everything, I mean, that's a winning strategy.
Do you think we're being prisoner of the moment last night? Or do you think what we saw was like, no, this is like happening?
I don't think that they've, this is an event that happens 3 times a year. When have they launched something and said, oh, this is like, when have they driven hype to something that doesn't deserve it?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there's been a little bit of maybe dissatisfaction or something with Legend, but I think that even that platform is going to be growing. Like, they just needed something for web that was also built to do some, TA tools for
active traders.
Yeah, and they are seeing revenue there for sure. At what I think last time we heard a $50 million run rate. So that product will be built out as well.
Okay, so private banking, do you think that is them saying we're going to go after JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs and Bank of America? That's basically them saying,
yeah, 100%.
Okay, that's what SoFi is trying to do as well. So the reason you're thinking of this debate now, what resolves the debate for you? Like, how do you come to the conclusion that you go a little underweight SoFi, overweight Hood based on this? Because the product's not even out yet. It's not coming out till October. I mean, it's going to take time for them to.
I think it's going to be different strategies for investing. Some people invest right now in JP Morgan, Ally Bank, whatever. And I wouldn't touch those because I think like the velocity of change on those companies is not exciting for me, even though you can get them at a much better premium.
Correct.
So I think it's like growth versus value. Do you want PayPal or do you want Adyen? You'll pay a lot more for Adyen, but 10 years down the line, who's doing more payment volume? I mean, I'm sure it's the company that's performing much better. Maybe that's not a name that people know, but with Robinhood, the part that I'm really thinking about is, okay, this is what they're putting out this year. And it'll be really hard for Robinhood to catch up. Like some of the tools that they've been releasing, they said they've been working on these for years.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of whether they took pause on it to work on something that's in the moment. And that's one thing that Robinhood does amazingly. Like they need to be putting out the products that are like in the moment products. And so they always shift their team to work on what their user base needs most. And SoFi is trying to do that as well, but that made sure that like they weren't able to do level 1 options. They still haven't posted a tax solution. There's no remittance payments tools. Robinhood is going to release that all in one go in their first experience in banking. Like that speed is ridiculous. So it's not about which is the company that's at a better valuation or something like this. And some could even argue that's still Robinhood.
Yeah.
But what are the tools? What's the TAM expansion over the next 3-5 years at this speed of growth? We talked to that, Uber.
Yeah, I was telling him all about our Uber experience with him. He was awesome.
So I don't know if you covered this part, but he said, he got a lot of different offers from different places and, potential 10X engineer or something like this.
Okay, no. He's definitely a 10X engineer. He was trying to be humble about it. And then he was like, well, I had an offer from this company, this company, this company. I was like, okay, so everyone wants you. You're a good engineer.
At ridiculous rates.
He ended up picking Uber. Yeah.
But we asked him if he wanted to work for Robinhood. And he said, I don't know if I could do that. Like, that's really high stress. Like, they work, like, the work-life balance is off. These guys are going hard. Like, it's almost similar to Palantir. He's
such a good engineer, but he's been in the industry for so long. Now he wants
he's older.
He wants more work-life balance. And he's like, I don't think I could work at Robinhood. I don't think I could execute at their level because they're working so hard.
Also, San Francisco, just to make sure I'm not drinking a soda, this is a water in a can.
Tanner paid $10 for this, guys. You actually you paid for this one.
I hope not. I don't know. I'm going to test my luck.
Tesla right here, 283, getting some love right now. Robinhood a little bit down on the day. S&P 500 going green. Tesla getting some love. But yeah, dude, I mean, what was your takeaway from the overall, well, actually for the SoFi thing? So you are not thinking of selling out of SoFi completely. That's not the conversation, right?
Not right now.
Interesting. Okay.
I'll
So
see.
you're thinking of it.
If SoFi, so okay, there's a couple of schools that, like, SoFi is going to have a ridiculously good 2025. Like I have no question about it. They are going to do great things. But I want to know what they post between now and October. Have they been working on a bunch of things that they can't talk about? Like, are you going to do an investor day? Like the transparency part is over. Like you guys need to open up and tell us what you're working on.
Yeah.
Because it's not some, proprietary advantage to keep it, behind a curtain, and like Robinhood's completely open about what they're doing and no one can catch up.
Yeah.
So, you really need to show us that you can keep up that level of innovation, because I'm a growth investor. I need the company that's going to be expanding their TAM, not just in this year, but what are they going to do every other year? And so SoFi over the last couple of years, since they've got the bank charter, have slowed down. Like, I think a lot of people got in because they were that Robinhood of the time, right? They got a credit card, an invest product, banking product, all within a 12-month period. Like Relay. And by the way, Robinhood did Relay. That's coming out in October.
Yep.
They have a full net worth thing. Houses on there as well. You get to see your assets and your liabilities, all within their first experience in private banking. That's interesting.
Asin Kaka, thank you for the 10 memberships. Really appreciate that. 10 of you guys just got memberships from Asin. Thank you so much for the gift of 10. Really, really appreciate that. Thank you for the memberships. Do you still think SoFi can see 20 by the end of the year?
Yeah.
Okay. So your average is like $7 or $8. You wouldn't want to sell from that, but you're thinking long term, not just end of 2025. Which one has a better growth rate trajectory?
Yeah, I want, like, you can pick a lot of trains that are moving forward. Like the stocks go up, but I want the fastest one. And so if Robinhood is this bullet train that I'm trying to get a hold of, where is my money best served in terms of, its rate of change? Not just getting on a company like you can do well in Ally Bank or some of the traditional financial institutions that are still growing. JP Morgan still grows, but I also want to bet on growth companies, on young, innovative companies, because that's just where I find I do best. So,
okay. So what was your takeaway from the actual experience? Because it was a pretty cool event. So what was your experience like?
Which is mind blowing, by the way. Like, how is the event so good? Like they kind of do everything a little bit, the
over the top.
Yeah.
And just like
these like fire dancers and everything. And I don't know, it was a cool experience. Product announcements were great. The people are always great. I love being able to. It's not just
energy
about,
was good.
It's not about Vlad. Seeing Vlad is great, but seeing all the executives is amazing. Or the amount of just employees at ground level that come up to you and saying, "Hey, what did you think about this product?" Like
literally random engineers who worked on products. They came up to us like, "So what do you think?" And like the fact that they care so much and they want our feedback and all this stuff, like these are people that really give a shit about what they're working on.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, they essentially announced 2 products, yesterday that are 9-figure, 10-figure businesses for them over the long haul. And that's awesome. Like, yeah.
Palantir going green right here, S&P going green, and then Hoodie trying to go a little green right here. What do you think about the meet and greet with Vlad and his energy and his willingness to answer questions, all that stuff?
It was good. Yeah, no, the transparency for Robinhood is always amazing.
45 minutes with us. Like that was supposed to be 20 minutes, and like he spent a lot of time just like sitting with us and talking. And
yeah, some of the team was like, "All right, guys."
Vlad is like, "Nope, I'm gonna keep." Like Vlad, like he genuinely wanted. Like you can tell when a CEO is like doing something in a transactional way, like, "Oh, I have to do this," and then you can tell when he's like so intimately tied to the conversation, and his team's not interrupting him because they know like he wants to like keep doing this.
Yeah,
and he was with us for a while, and it was fun. We were like laughing, making jokes, like. It was very informal.
Yeah, everyone thinks like we ride this company too hard or something like this, like ride for it. And I don't know. There's been so many experiences that I've had with Robinhood where like I'll be talking with Vlad or whatever, and they'll be like, I'll be like, okay, I've taken too much of your time. I'm gonna go. Thank you. And someone with Vlad will be like, no, please stay. He wants to talk to retail. He doesn't want to talk to the suits. He wants to talk to you guys. This is why he made the platform.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't make it for them.
Yeah.
So I think a little bit internally, Vlad's a degen, and he likes fellow degens, and he likes talking stocks and just overall, just like, yeah, he's one of us.
He likes he would not like having these events if we weren't there. Because then it would just be the JP Morgan, Bank of America analysts, and they're not going to chop it up with him like that because, you know, it's just a different type of dynamic. But with us, he wants to communicate. And I think him putting himself in this situation, 10 years from now, what does this look like with the next generation of retail? And I think he's just getting set up to be at the center of everyone's mind share.
Yeah. Yeah. Every time I'm looking at these companies, I'm not looking at it about or just the valuation of today. I'm thinking like, man, what does Robinhood actually look like 10 years from now? And whenever you look at the wait list for credit cards or something like this, it's unbelievably high. Like they've just taken out the cost of customer acquisition and they've put that into, you know, better rewards for their customers. Which then in turn allows them to get onto platform cheaper. But for banking, there is going to be that level of excitement for what they're bringing, but there won't need to be a wait list. They'll be able to take on millions of customers at a time. Same way for gold, right? And so think about this. They've had, wow.
Bernstein 105, baby. Yep. I mean, you're right. When the net deposits, like when you have direct deposit is the biggest way banks collect so many deposits. Robinhood's been doing $5 billion a month with little direct deposit. It's mainly people actually taking their cash and putting it into the invest platform. Now, if you're W-2, if you work at Google and that's your Google tech salary is hooked up to your Robinhood account, I mean, dude, if they get these types of workers across the country, you're going to be talking about billions per month just from direct deposit. We could be looking at 10, 15 billion a month, not a quarter. Right now, we're at 5 billion a month. And even if that takes a couple of years, that is massive inflows of AUC, which then all goes into trading, credit card spend, more banking features, and it can get really, really crazy.
Yeah. And that was one of my questions for Vlad. I was like, you know, are you guys expecting that you guys are going to see Robinhood Gold subscribers for customers that aren't even using the invest platform?
Yeah.
You know, and they said, we're already seeing it with credit card.
Yep.
Like people are signing up for gold for a 3% cashback. Because if you think about a premium credit card, you're already paying that in annual fees. If they can then attach, which is one of the things they did, they took the credit card app and turned it into the banking app.
Yeah.
They know that the quickest cross-sell is going to be between those two products. So like this is well thought out. And then the cross-sell between that onto the invest platform onto event contracts, customers that are coming for event contracts, signing up for gold without using any of the other products. I mean, a bunch of companies can call themselves one-stop shops. That sounds like one. You know, they don't have lending yet, but that's not actually a product that I think is too hard to replicate because of that embedded lending. So if they can do that, if they can partner with companies that are willing to do the underwriting, are willing to take on that credit risk using Robinhood's customers, and they can stay on Robinhood's platform,
GG.
Good game.
GG, bro. And look, you know, the whole point of, I think, why people follow retail analysts is because we're not having 17 different opinions on 17 different stocks. We're going deep on one stock. Tanner went deep on SoFi and Nvidia and Shopify. I went deep on Palantir and Hood. Tanner's deep on Hood. Like we spend all this time going deep on certain names so that 10 years from now, instead of having 17 opinions on 1,000 names, you have 5 opinions on 5 companies and those outperform, which is what Tanner's portfolio has been like. That's why Nvidia has done so well from him. So I think this is the type of analysis you need in 2025 by people trying to theorize what it could be like. So by 2035, this is the analysis that led us to get outsized returns against the markets. But you got to go so deep on a name to actually care about it.
Do you think they're going to be a top 10 financial institution? Do you think they're going to be #1 in financial services?
I still think JP Morgan and Bank of America, I mean, I don't know if they're catching those trillions of dollars of assets, but they're going to get to at least $1 trillion. They're at 200 billion right now. This is getting to $1 trillion in assets. And what do we think Robinhood's stock price is at that time? Because I don't think it's going to be at a $37 billion market cap with $1 trillion in assets. It's like, and if the growth rate of that is double digits in the next 5 to 7 years.
Dude, if they announced what they announced today, and that was SoFi's entire roadmap for 2025, I'd be like, man, that's exciting. But then we have a crypto event in June, and then we have a Hood Summit, later on in the next year, which they are going to announce more things, which is probably going to be more towards active traders, so things for Legend, TA, stuff like that. They'll probably try to go after the trading view team.
And we talked to the chief of staff, and she said when Vlad had the meeting for the crypto event, he was in the room with the crypto GM, and he told him, the crypto GM said, all right, Vlad, here's what we're going to do in France. Vlad physically got up and started jumping around because he was like, there's no way we're doing this. There's no way. And he was like, yep, we're doing this. And that's why Vlad said at that fireside chat that he was giddy about the crypto event in France.
Yeah.
Like this, if this gold event was pretty cool, I don't even want to know. And the crypto is their highest take rate. So if they really innovate in that space, it's feeling like this will become a financial ETF for a variety of services inside of one stock.
Yeah. Which banking is exciting because you're bringing on assets under custody, and what is it going to do if you bring in a ton? Is it going to sit there, or are you going to go, buy crypto, buy equities, and start to cross sell with some of the other products?
Right. Why do you think Tesla's pumping right now?
I have no idea.
Guys,
is there news that I haven't read? I don't want to.
It's the auto tariff stuff, I think.
Yeah, that would be my assumption.
I mean, it looks like it wants 300, bro. It really does, but we'll see if it gets chopped back down to that 270 range later. I mean, if Trump tweets anything else throughout the day, then that could bring this down. That 10-year still aggressive, 4.373. So maybe we have more volatility coming. Okay, what did you think about the AI product Cortex and how they're incorporating AI into the actual platform itself?
I love Abhishek. He's a good guy. I didn't really have any feelings about Cortex, to be honest. I thought that it was very, like, the user experience looked amazing, or the interface looked amazing. Who knows how accurate it is, right?
Yeah,
so I was talking with Abhishek, and he said, well, it's not even really about accuracy. What it's more about is like education and saying like, okay, you want to play this company? Here's the 7 different ways that you could look at it. So we're not actually trying to guide you in a direction that like says, oh, this is actually the trade to make. It's okay. What is Wall Street analyst saying? What is the RSI saying? What are all these different, indicators saying? And then you decide as an investor. And I was like, okay, well, I get that, but I still need to see it in action. I want to see how customers use it, or if it creates some sort of level of like a super consensus, because you're telling, 25 million Robinhood users how to trade certain stocks.
Right.
So I'm always, what's so interesting about stocks is like, it's not a mathematical, I mean, Jim Simons would tell you different, but I never thought that there's one objective truth to stocks. There's so many different ways to sort of break down each individual position. So I want to see how something like this does. I don't really trust artificial intelligence in picking stocks yet. Or plays.
I was just happy it wasn't a chatbot. By the way, Nvidia is not green, guys. I know we're saying Nvidia. Nvidia it has 29 more cents before it goes green. So we got to give it a second, but I think it'll get there. It's not a chatbot, which is good. And I think the chatbots are so boring now that they have to be more agentic with how they incorporate AI. And I think this is just the beginning of Cortex, which is like, I feel like that's another very big business, or it at least drives more business across the other verticals they have. And that we're not even talking about that much because the private banking thing was so exciting. So
yeah, some of the other tools of Cortex I thought were interesting, like telling people why the stock is up or down on a specific hour or something. That just leads to more screen time on Robinhood. So you're doing part of your research on there rather than bringing it to another platform. As well as like, if you're going through Cortex in that order book and you can see what the different, trading opportunities are for you, it'll take you right to the page where you can then, submit that order to then purchase the stock, open up that spread, whatever. That might lead to a better conversion on, from an initial investment idea to actually closing out that trade on Robinhood.
Yeah.
Hopefully that works, but yeah.
And we've got Singapore this year coming up. Like, this is going international, bro. That's where it's like, all right.
No Canada.
No Canada.
Still. So As much as I'm watching this from the sidelines, I can't even use those tools. So,
what were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say my brokerage just announced that they're bringing 24/5, so they're catching up.
You can degen like us at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
I think Tesla is green because the auto tariffs are going to affect other companies more than Tesla. Simple. And I think if anything, it might push people more to autonomy if car prices go higher. So I think Tesla's getting a little bit of a benefit of that. Speaking of cars, what did you think about our lack of Waymo experience yesterday?
Oh, dude. Did you talk about the pricing?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So I said the only thing that was there some inherent discount to the end destination being the Uber? Because it was a pretty far distance for a $10 Uber.
No, it was 1.5 miles.
No, it was further than that.
No, it wasn't.
We drove so far.
I'll put the address right now. Is the Uber headquarters from where we're at in the hotel? 1.5 miles.
Oh, all right. It felt long.
I don't think Uber gave us a discount because we were Ubering to the Uber headquarters.
I think you have a bad Uber rating, by the way, because they matched 5 stars up with 5-star drivers. I have never been in, I think, a worse experience.
Okay, no. Tanner's being racist. The guy didn't speak English. That's why Tanner.
No, bro. No, he was not where we were. He was like he was far away from where we had to run across streets to go meet him. So,
but that was my fault because he wasn't legally allowed to come to that area because San Francisco's weird. That was my fault more so than anything.
And then we get this guy that
but he was kind of weird in the car, bro.
Dude,
and that's why
your seat was so far forward. You must have been like this in your chair. So
it was a crappy car. It was a really crappy car. That's for sure.
So how many things do I need to state that were not objectively racist for the car sucked? You said you said it didn't smell nice.
It didn't smell nice. No.
Yeah,
but my point is, in the heat of all that, would you have paid double for a Waymo? That's where I think
2.3 times for a Waymo.
Yeah, 2.3. That's my thing. It's like even with the shitty experience, the average person would not pay $25 for that drive. There's no way in hell. That's why I didn't want to pay the $25 because I was like, well, this experience is not the right experience for Waymo. They need these prices to, and why are they charging 25 when they don't have to pay a driver? Like, people are saying surge pricing. It was 4 p.m. Where's the surge? Like, why?
It could have been surge pricing. But honestly, what I think the way that I thought about it is that they're charging a rate that they can get away with because people still think of it as an experience.
And that's why I didn't want to pay it.
Yeah.
Because we were shocked, bro. We could not believe it was $25 for a 10 to 12 minute drive.
Yeah, it was a lot. But are we taking it to the airport or we can't even do that?
No, I'm thinking I really do still want to try it though. So maybe you, me, and Roy, do we get breakfast or something?
Yeah, let's go. Wait, how long is this?
I mean, we're 2 hours in, so probably we're done now. Yeah, maybe we take it to like breakfast or something and we play it out. Now we have to pay because they're calling me cheap. because so now we have to pay for this thing. But like I didn't think about paying it in the moment. I know it's a business expense, you could write it off. I just thought as a user, I would never do this. And so in the heat of the moment, I was like, no, we're going with an Uber. Why would we pay $25 for this? Like, it doesn't make sense.
So just to close out on that question, is Tanner actually selling SoFi?
By the way, real quick, Mr. Brown, thank you for the gifted 10. Appreciate you guys. Gene, thank you for becoming a gifted member. Really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for the gifted memberships. I will use the gifted memberships to take this damn Waymo today. All right, go ahead.
Are you treating me to that Waymo?
Oh, no, I'm treating you to Waymo, to breakfast, everything. So there you
go. So am I actually selling SoFi? I'm not going to just yet. I'm going to see what happens over the next little bit. So I don't want to get into SoFi's entire business, but the loan platform business is incredible. It's absolutely real. They'll make a lot of money. But all new money is not going into SoFi at discounted rates. It's going to be going into Robinhood at a premium because they deserve it. You know, because what's a premium today? Buying Robinhood at 17 was a premium. Like honestly, people are like, how are you buying it at $16, $17? And now you're lucky to get it at 30.
Dude, and you don't get enough credit for that. We give a lot of credit to people that get in at the bottom, Palantir, Robinhood. We get a lot of people credit for selling at the top. We don't give people credit for coming in after a double and saying, no, this story is very real. The growth is real. It is still cheap based on my analysis on the projected growth rates, and then actually solidifying themselves with a massive winner. Like that's where people really, because no one can really get you. We get really lucky if you get the bottom, really lucky if you sold the top. Most people get it in the middle. You got it in at 17, and I think that's going to be a generational average long term for Hood.
I appreciate that. I think that people need to continuously re-underwrite the stocks that they thought about before. So it's like, I'm buying Nvidia a ton right now too. And I think people look at the chart and they go, yeah, but it's grown so much. It's like, yeah, okay. Fundamentally, it's also grown so much. So you're buying this at the same price that you could buy Apple. And like, that blows me away. Now, I think that actually has gone off course in the last like week or so, because Apple's been selling more than Nvidia. But at one point, they were like trading at like the exact same
PE. Yeah.
Price to sales of last 12 months. And then Nvidia was even cheaper on the next 12 months. So, or forward P. So I don't know. I do appreciate the compliment. Continue to re-underwrite your stocks.
Also, he doesn't even use Robinhood, and he bought the stock, right? Like, that's another thing. You don't actually use the product.
Do you use Palantir?
No, but I'm just saying, like, as a consumer product, like sometimes you want to actually get a feel for it to see if it works. Like, so
yeah. So
like I downloaded Grindr before I bought it. I didn't use it. I just like looked around, and then I was like, all right, $14 is cheap. So
I gotta go on one date to see, is the meetup easy?
Okay, wait. So are you selling SoFi or not? I don't think you. Like...
I am not selling SoFi right
good.
now.
So that's the
new
answer.
money is going into Robinhood. So the position of my total portfolio will decrease if the stock stays flat, because new money is not going to flow into SoFi. They need to prove to me, do not marry stocks. I've been saying this forever. Like I don't care how many videos or whatever I've said with SoFi. Like, if they need to continuously impress me, and if other companies are doing that better, I'm going to go on dates with them. And I'm right now, I'm really falling in love with Robinhood, and that might change, but this last 10 years of execution haven't really shown me a reason to.
Yeah, if Hood messes up execution, I think both of our opinions are going to change. If Palantir messed up execution, and by the way, people think we just glaze them all the time. Dude, people weren't there in 2022 when we had Palantir Weekly, and every single week we were like, why can't these guys fucking sell the product? Every week at $6, it was like, why don't they have a sales team? Why can't they do distribution yet? Like, we went through that pain. They just ended up executing. Same thing with Hood. And so I think if they stop executing, we'll be pretty objective about it, but they haven't given us a reason to. Yeah. And that's why we continue to be so excited about the name,
Yeah. And whenever there is bad news, like Robinhood is not without their bad times. How do they fare during those times? Are they able to recover? Stuff like this.
Yeah. So a lot of the employees I talked to also were there in 2021. So I asked them, like, what was that like? And they were like, dude, like, it wrecked the company. It fucked the brand. A lot of the comments I got last night on all the pictures I posted were like, oh, but the buy button, yada, yada. And like, a lot of people liked those comments. So like, they were showing support for this narrative that has not gone away even after all these years of execution. So it really was a stain on the brand. Morale died out in the company. Vlad had to figure out, was the company going to be able to pivot into something? And you go through all of that, and you rise from the ashes like a phoenix to become what you are today. I think that's why this story is so exciting. Same thing with Palantir. For 20 years, fully ignored, no one cared, black box, evil company. Now they are what they are today, and that's what makes these journeys so exciting.
You asked me a question yesterday.
What was the question I asked you?
Nvidia or Hood over the next 12 months?
Oh yeah, I'll ask you guys in the chat. Let's do a poll. Which one actually was it 12 months or no? It was 12 months. Which one over the next 12 months from 45 on Hood, Nvidia at 110? Which one outperforms over the next 12 months?
Here, by the way.
Oh yeah, right there. Here we go. So what do you think in the next 12 months?
Well, let's do should we do the poll? I'm going to bias the thing. So, in my opinion, Robinhood is very cyclical, and that if the market goes down, they go down twofold. Nvidia is not the same. Large companies with hundreds of billions of dollars can eat through that recession and continue to maybe that slows down a little bit, but it won't be the multiple on the losses like it will be for Robinhood. So in my opinion, I'm going to say Nvidia is the easier win.
So the only reason I'm saying Hood is because Nvidia, like, I think Hood can go up 60-70% over the next year. For Nvidia to do that, we're talking about $5.5 trillion market cap. For Hood, we're talking about 70 billion, 80 billion max. I think Hood can easily get there over Nvidia. I just think the level of move you need on Nvidia, which means the level of risk people are going to feel when the numbers get that big, I think are going to be tougher. Whereas, not saying it can't happen, but just saying on Hood, it's like, this was actually my thesis on Palantir and Tesla back in the Finance Junkies days. The reason I was buying Palantir was because I thought a 30 billion to 300 billion market cap was easier than a Tesla, which was at the time 700 billion to $7 trillion market. Like I just thought the 10x was easier on Palantir. So
yeah, some people definitely like, I mean, there's merit to that for sure, but there's no cap on market caps.
Correct.
You know, whenever Apple, which I'm sorry you didn't know this, but they were the first company to hit $1 trillion. Some people don't know this, even though they study markets.
Dude, the people who worked on the Robinhood trivia thing, they had our stream with all of you guys in the chat on the big TV, and they were all watching me fail at that question. And so, yeah, there was a ton of people watching the stream from Hood, and they were looking at the chat, and they saw my epic no for like 20 seconds screaming about it.
But yeah, they were the first company to hit $1 trillion, which people thought was like a number that was not reachable. And then they were the first company to hit 2 trillion. And then they were the first company to hit 3 trillion. And so there really is not a cap to these things, in my opinion. Nvidia has the opportunity. I do think that they'll be the first $10 trillion company. I've been saying that for a long time. It sounds ridiculous, but look at the orders that they're putting in. I mean, they are going to be making hundreds of billions of dollars. And so that deserves a premium whenever you're being able to grow at these rates at that scale. And so
even with Microsoft cutting back some of their AI spend today, I haven't really looked into that headline, but that could have been the reason why Nvidia was down pre-markets. Nvidia just turned green, 114, Tesla 290. But your argument, Tanner, is that all this growth eventually gets a premium, even if in this current market it's not.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter how large they are. But I mean, Hood is going to do great. That's so funny about the price too. Like 45 seems so high. Well, we just got a price target for $105. Is that based because the market is super bullish right now? Like for a retail stock perspective, that's not necessarily that true.
Yeah.
So that's from the products that they're putting out in the attach rates, and customers are, you know, potentially using more. Like I'll use one example, like Robinhood crypto, more than they're actually using the Robinhood or the crypto market in general, which means they're growing as a percentage of the total market share. That deserves a premium.
Yeah.
But I'm going to bet that Nvidia wins over the next little bit. The great thing that about stocks is that I can buy both.
You can buy both. Yeah, I mean, my portfolio now, Hood and Nvidia are up there in terms of big positions. So again, and Hood doesn't even feel like a fintech. It feels like a tech company that does financial services, but the rate of innovation makes it feel more tech than just
a tech company.
Yeah, just fintech. And so it's like the street's paying a multiple on it because they see the growth, they've proven the growth, and they keep shipping so many new products that the street doesn't think the growth is stopping anytime soon. So
yeah.
All right, cool. There we go. I think we're ending off the show with some green, baby. 290 on Tessie. Grab up about 1%. SoFi down about 3.4. That's a bit of recovery from when it was down 7% today. Nvidia trying to hold on to a little bit of its green. Palantir almost hit 94 at 1.9330. S&P, nice recovery, dude. I mean, I don't want to say it's a full recovery, but it was down 1%. Now it's up 0.35. If it can get maybe a little bit closer to 575, we get that 200-day to end the day. Maybe the market overlooks some of the Trump auto tariff stuff from yesterday. And hopefully we can end out the week green tomorrow on Friday.
Love it.
All right, Tanner, we have one more thing we have to do to end out the show.
What is this?
Take a guess.
I don't know, dude.
Don't you watch the show every day? Do you stay till the end? Wow, dude,
bro, I don't know.
That's fucking fake, bro.
No, I don't have like I show up intermittently whenever I have time.
You really don't stay till the end of the show, bro? Oh, that's your phone.
That's when I was gonna wake up.
Why don't you watch the end of the show, bro? I thought we were like friends. Like I watched your videos.
Maybe if you just tell me what. It's the word of the day. It's the word of the day. I knew it was. I didn't even read the chat.
No, it's because of the fucking chat. What do you mean?
I swear I did not read the chat. I promise.
What do you mean you promise? Okay,
what if I guessed the word that you did last time?
You mean yesterday?
Yeah.
There's no way you're gonna guess this. I don't even remember the word of the day.
It was a really hard. I did listen to it. I swear, bro. I'm not gonna look at the chat. It
This
was
guy. All right, let's do word the word of the day, bro. This guy doesn't even watch till the end of the stream, bro. It's fucking. He does not care.
I didn't even read the chat.
Okay, so we're gonna do 2 ones because this word's kind of boring. But go ahead. What do you think? How do you say this? What? How do you say the word? Go ahead. Think of it. Go for it. Try.
Dude, I don't pronounce any.
This word's easy, bro. I could say this word. This is not easy. This is not hard. Why did you whisper it to me like I was gonna confirm? You think I'm gonna help you say the right word? Just go ahead, say it.
I'm not doing that at all.
Say
You do
it.
your word of the day.
I think
it's
it's Inscape. I think it's easy.
yeah. That's what I said.
Inscape.
Yeah, it wasn't that hard, bro. Like, and if they made fun of you, that's okay.
I just don't
gotta
want.
deal with
I
it.
don't want to like hit it and then it says like Inscape and then like it's not happening.
Dude, I would love it.
I don't
if it
even
was
pronounce
Inscape.
people's names on live streams. It does.
The
No way.
unique essence or inner nature of a thing. The letting the melody guide her, the songs in scape unfolded note by note. Every individual's interpretation of a piece of art is influenced by their own escape. Inner nature of a thing. Okay, this one's kind of boring. Let's do another one. This one's kind of boring too. Let's try another website. Word of the day. Let's do Merriam-Webster. This one's boring too. Yeah, these words are not really that good. Word of the day.
I think we just run it on Inscape.
Nah, bro, we need a word that like makes us.
Bro, that's boring.
That's boring. All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do this for the first time. We're gonna go to Grok for the first time. We're gonna go Grok. I actually never did this before. Let's do a cool prompt. I've never done this before. Hi, I want a unique, or I want a word of the day that is a very intriguing word to use with my friends at a dinner party. Please give me the definition and use it in a sentence. Don't pay attention to me spelling wrong. I don't know how to spell anything, so Grok will figure it out. Word of the day is perspicuous. Means clearly expressed, easy to understand, or demonstrating clarity of thought. That is boring. Give me one that isn't as boring as this. Let's try to get a better one. Fair enough. Let's spice it up. Flummox means to be flummox. Wait, hold on. Let's go to Google. How to say, why did I say flummox, bro? I think you're right.
Flummox.
See, look at this. Like
I use that word.
Wait, what does the word mean?
Like you're flummoxed. Like you don't know. Like
I use that word. Yeah.
No, but that's not a word that's too interesting. Like that's
when Jake pulled out a deck of cards and starting a magic trick, he completely flummoxed us all by making the ace of spades vanish into thin air.
Yeah, it's just like bewildered, as it says.
Well, I think a lot of people who didn't believe in Robinhood were flummoxed yesterday because Robinhood is officially they're going for it. They're going for it. And what was the number one thing we heard as soon as the keynote ended? Someone was like, what was that? Something?
No, it was the cash delivery. And someone said, while we were watching, I just hear in the background going, what is going on? Like they were so mind blown about the products that were coming out.
Yeah, it was weird, bro. Because the cash delivery shit, it felt like a joke.
It is a gimmick.
But Vlad told us they're working on real partnerships for it. So it's like, I don't think that many people are going to use the product, but like, it's one of those things to try to take away the wealth from super wealthy to not, which I get it as part of their marketing, but if it becomes a real thing, it would be pretty cool. Yeah, of course I said flummox. Of course I didn't say it correctly, but it is what it is. All right, cool. We are done for the day. Thank you, everybody, for being here, keeping up with the streams. No market close today because I'll be in the skies, but I'll be back tomorrow on the market open. I appreciate you being on the stream today and yesterday. Yeah, my chat is your chat, dude. They love you. They appreciate you. They care about the content. And Tanner's YouTube right here, I'm putting in the chat. If you are not subscribed to Tanner, please make sure to subscribe to him. Why are you laughing?
Because I I appreciate you, but it's crazy.
Well, was the chat making you laugh, dude?
No, you're making me laugh. You're like, you're hyping me up too much.
No, dude. Like Tanner is actually one of my good friends in content creation. You don't have a lot of friends in this game, and his channel is not. You know, some people associate with him only with SoFi, like me only with Palantir. But I think we're growing as creators, and we're trying to be able to speak about different things as well, even with our core stocks that we're deep on. And so Tanner's making videos about a lot of other stuff, not just SoFi. So definitely would recommend subscribing. And if you care about Nvidia, Robinhood at all, like you should be subscribed to Tanner as well.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Okay, cool stuff. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you all. We'll be back on the market open tomorrow. And yeah, we'll keep going from there. Appreciate you guys. And I'll take the Waymo and I'll make a video of it. I promise. So that'll be posted on Twitter in like a couple hours.
You like that timing?
Yeah, it was a good timing.
Okay.
All right, there you go. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.